talk.
We
Here we
should
go.
definitely be streaming.
Oh, you want me to check? Here, I'll check
No,
on my phone.
we're definitely
No,
streaming, and it
definitely
says
streaming. All right.
excellent connection. So, yeah.
Excellent. Yes.
What is it? 103. All right. I missed my
Um.
slightly before 1 p.m.
Yes, it
time
popped up on my
estimate.
YouTube, bro. It's all good. No, come on, 3 minutes. Lift, laugh, love. I like that title. This
Yeah.
is nice.
Well, it's very it's very spiritual, and we need to like nourish the sacred mother. So,
My chakra root is on fire already.
yeah. What did you do last night?
Damn it, you got me.
All right. So welcome everybody. This is episode. At some point the counting is going to become pretty silly, or maybe not. I don't know. Like if I have the same person on like 5 times, then I think they might just have to have their own. Anyway, this is episode 10, and with Leo, and we're mostly talking about lifting stuff. In fact, it's basically just I have these notes here of things that I've been wanting to ask or have asked and forgot the answers to, that I think are pretty interesting. So, first of all, Leo,
Yes,
what's
sir.
up?
What's going on, man? You got your coffee, by the way, or not? Oh, you do. Cheers. Clink. Very nice. Very nice. How do you drink your coffee right now? What you got? You got one of those cardamom, cinnamon mixes in there? What's going on?
No, I have. I just got. Actually, there's a local place that they roast beans, really tiny coffee shop, and like, I don't know how the bean roasting thing is, but, and I always buy their house blend beans and then grind them in my like shitty, $20 coffee
Oh, you got one of those
grinder.
little.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I was gonna say you're doing everything right. Just get a burr grinder. They're like 80 to $100. You can get a barat. Nah, shaking his head. No way. Fuck
No, because
you.
if you start going down, I know this from other things. Like you go down gear road on
Oh,
something,
you
and
mean
then
like got you going down there?
yeah, and also I have very little kitchen counter space,
I
so
get
I
you.
just have this little tiny like electric motor with the little, and I don't care.
You just put it.
It's
No, it works fine. It works fine. I'm not gonna be. I'm not. By the way, even though I have an espresso machine and I'm super into coffee, kind of. I'm not. No, dude. If it's a little cold outside, you got to make your grinds a little thicker. Like I'm not that guy. Like, but just like a regular grinder that you can get for $80 does improve the kind of overall texture of your coffee. But I think those what do they call them? Those little, just looks like a centrifuge thing or whatever.
yeah, it's
They
kind of like
stick.
a spice grinder,
Yeah.
but
They
some
work.
of them are marketed as coffee grinders. So
Yeah.
yeah, so normally I do that, but yesterday they had like fall blend or something, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try the fall blend, and I didn't even bother palpating the bag enough to realize it was grounds and not beans.
Oh no.
And furthermore, the fall blend is supposed to have. I don't know. I didn't see if they have any ingredients or they just say it has like, you know, textures of fall. So anyway, I didn't want to add a bunch of my pumpkin pie spice flavors to this because I wasn't sure how it was going to taste right off the
So you're gonna
get-go.
taste it. So how is it?
It's the same, man. I don't really have a good palate for distinguishing coffee.
Well, most people are full of shit, anyways. But
I put like a lot of sugar and milk in it anyway.
yeah,
Like I'm sure if I drank it black and I set up, a bunch of different types of coffee, I could learn to figure out what's going on. But
yeah, you could. But it's really at the end of the day, like, does it taste sour if it's black? If you don't add anything to it, and if it's not sour, then you're good. Because if it's sour, it's probably an old coffee that's been sitting there for a while. So that's it. That's really like,
hey, man, many such cases.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
turning off the singer, baby. I'm sorry.
I basically never drink black coffee.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I do it if I want to taste, But again, yeah, me too. I make my espresso and then I make it like a macchiato or whatever, just a small, small latte. Some milk, a little bit of sugar.
somebody asked if we like tobacco. Do you like
Yeah,
tobacco?
yeah. You want me to pull out my cigar box? I got a cigar box.
Yeah, sure.
Hold on, give me 3 seconds. It's really close.
Yep. I am not a tobacco enjoyer at this time, mostly just because it's not. I don't know. It's one of those things like, for example, I didn't drink coffee until I just started drinking coffee. I didn't have a particular reason I didn't drink coffee. I just didn't do it.
Yeah, I got me one of these.
I don't know.
I really like this brand called Placencia. They're grown organically because cigar is a really interesting, weird world. What?
It is. It is. I was at a
Because
cigar bar a couple years ago.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that can also be really douchey. But I just try to like get the cleanest stuff, like with the least amount of pesticides and herbicides and all that stuff. But yeah, as you probably already know, there's like lots of cool studies and whatnot on tobacco, and yeah, I don't smoke it. Maybe like once every few weeks, I'll puff on a cigar a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to Vegas, that weekend was definitely, it was my birthday weekend, so that definitely was like a 3 cigars, maybe one a day kind of thing. So
Yeah, I've
yeah, but it was
never
good.
really. It's like I probably smoked, like I could count on my fingers, the number of cigars I've smoked. Like probably
Uh-huh.
one per 2 years since
Wow.
since being 18.
Yeah.
Um,
Highly recommend one of these though if you got a cigar, like a really nice lighter. Oh boy, it makes a difference.
mm, mm. Uh-oh. We got a freeze on the old Skyperino here.
Gotta get
I'm hearing Skype noises.
it. It's not. Oh.
Oh, I
Oh,
lost you there
you're back.
for like, yeah,
Yes.
a little bit under a minute.
A couple seconds. I think we're good. Yeah. All right.
Your
Yeah. What were
video
we
is a
saying?
little low res, but it actually kind of looks cool. It looks like a filter. It's
Hmm.
like a soft filter.
So I guess that's my connection then, right? Because I have like a whatever Logitech camera thing.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely your connection because
Sorry.
I'm seeing because it started off higher resolution.
So maybe it's coming back. Sorry, boys.
Yeah, no big deal. All right, so yeah, Peters. There are some repeat people into tobacco, and I wonder. I mean, the whole
Mhm.
like parasympathetic activation. There's probably other things you can take that aren't like smoke based that activate that system, but
Mhm.
you know,
For sure. I mean, oh, did you ever read that? What was that like? Kind of a popular study amongst those like biohacker douchebags or whatever. um,
no.
where they did the study with like people, they got them off cigarettes or cigars, and they just gave them a shitload of nicotine, right? And the idea being that it's just you're addicted to that nicotine,
Hmm.
and like all of them still had terrible withdrawals and still felt like they were they needed a cigarette because they started talking about that they needed something in their mouth. It's like it's more than just the nicotine. I think it's just more than just the biochemistry going on there. I think it's like, what I mean, physical, like the physical aspect, the taking a break thing. I think there's like a lot of stuff happening with those people that are super addicted to it, which I'm not, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it a bit. Also, there's probably. I don't really want to. I don't want to speculate too much because this is probably like look pretty dumb, but like maybe there's other. A lot of times when there's a drug, an active drug in a food or something, there's like a couple different forms, or there's sort of like I don't know, chaperones or something. Not in the biochemistry sense, but like for example, in wheat, they were like, oh, gluten, but there's like alpha gluten and like
There's a
gliadin.
shitload of those things there. Yeah,
Yeah,
gliadin and all that.
yeah, and there's usually one that's like the most powerful, and the other ones are like less than 30% of the effect or whatever. But so I
Mhm.
wouldn't be surprised if tobacco, the whole thing is like more complex than just like one substance, just the
Mhm.
nicotine,
Mhm.
like purely isolated.
Yeah.
So, topic du jour. as I said, is like lifting stuff and rehab stuff. So as some of the viewers may know, approximately, what is it, September? Approximately 6.5, almost 7 months ago, I had pectoralis major reattachment surgery, and you know that was cool.
Fun times.
And
How did you finish a rehab? Are you still doing? You going to PT?
I just stopped because
Just like most people, honestly.
yeah, well, I was when I had in 2012, I think I had a probably a ankle ligament rupture from a footlock thing. Like my ankle clearly popped. It was swollen.
Oh, so this wasn't the first time that you got majorly disfigured in
Correct. Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, huh? Oh, I thought this was like your first time getting hurt there.
No,
Seriously.
I've had my first injury was in like 2008, and it was a fractured rib, a floating rib.
Oh, that's not
You
fun,
know
dude.
the
I've had
kind
that.
that wrestlers always have.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just gonna say. When I was doing wrestling, that's what I would do. That fucking hurts because you can't like you breathe, you laugh, anything weird makes it hurt so bad.
And that I didn't even go to the doctor for because I didn't have health insurance at the time, and
Hmm.
because I was like 23, and and they don't do anything anyway.
You can't. I was gonna say you can't really do anything. They just give you drugs.
Yeah, the one thing that they can sometimes do with that is put it back if the cartilage sheath. So it was the first floating rib. So if the cartilage sheath is not fully destroyed, that sometimes the rib can fracture and come out of it, and
Hmm.
a manipulative doctor like osteopathy can sometimes like put it back into the
Yeah.
cartilage. So I did go to an osteopath, and that was actually, it was like better than a massage. It was this woman. She was like in her 30s, and she was just like, "Oh, let me see if I can do that." And it seemed like it was a no go. And my rib is
Hmm.
just always going to be kind of sticking out on the left side. No big deal. It feels a little weird though if I lay on a hard surface, like belly
Oh, so
down.
you still feel it. So she never got it to go back inside. She just
No,
tried.
it's just like,
Uh,
if you see like Chael Sonnen or somebody like that in the UFC when
mhm.
they're like at the end and they put their arms up and you can see like on both sides
Yeah.
they have these. I have it on one side.
Yeah, or clavicles. A lot of times, guys stick them out one way or
Yeah.
the other way. It just looks completely fucking off if you really look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first injury, and that was really not a big deal. And then it was freaky though, because I couldn't
Hmm.
catch my breath because my body like went into shock because of the fracture, and I didn't. And
Hmm.
then I looked down and my gi was like open, and I could see something sticking out. And my first thought,
Oh man.
my first thought was overly dramatic. Oh, I think one of my ribs like punctured my lung or something because I,
Oh, well, that's scary though. Hey, if you've never, but plus if you've never been seriously injured, right? It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, I had never
it's
broken a bone up to that point. I think I like cracked a toe once.
yeah, which is like whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody's so.
So then it was the ankle thing, and I didn't have ligament surgery for that. I had a lot of physical therapy, and I went to a place that was very good.
Mhm.
And I really I enjoyed it. It was like a spa because they like warm up your ankles in a warm foot bath with a pump,
Mhm.
and then you
Mhm.
just do
This is in
exercises.
Jersey. This is in
Yes,
Jersey.
yeah, in South Jersey. It was in like Cherry Hill or Voorhees or something. Actually,
Mm.
the guy that owns it is a friend of the family, and he's originally from South Africa, so he has a nice accent.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And he always has like college PT student girls as the
The
those,
best.
yeah. So it was good. It was fun. And then this time I went and it was okay, but as I got the people I did, I don't know, they just like told me to do something and they would walk away and then come back later. And
Well, hey, brother, it's like that's exactly what it's becoming, that whole industry, and it's just like whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and eventually it was just like, okay, 100% of the things that you're asking me to do, I can do at the gym. Somebody
Hmm.
asked, "Can I lift again?" Yeah, I can lift. Everything's pretty much back to normal, except like I guess I haven't really pushed my shoulder mobility, and of course, chest exercises feel pretty weird. And I hadn't been benching anyway, so I started from a point of like with my lifting, I was mostly just focusing on squats, deadlifts. I wasn't really benching. I was doing like dips and stuff like that for chest. So I already had a relatively weak chest, and then of course I couldn't use my chest for super long time. So rehab with shoulder mobility. So you sent me exercises to do with the bands last year. How do
Did you try them out?
Yes, and how do you feel about those for this situation?
Well, it's really all about your shoulders and your hips, dude. You know what I mean? Like people think pecs, but whatever. It's really just about, and really, when we're talking about shoulders, you're talking about like shoulder and scapular mobility and stability. So doing anything for shoulder, and like, you know, because I've worked with, I don't know, probably thousands of people by this point, but, you know, working with people, I rarely have I met maybe a few handful of people in my life that have shoulders that they can get their arms over their head and lock their elbows in like that. You know what I mean? Most people can't do it. Like, I mean, I don't know. You can even try it. Can you get your hands to cross, put them up, lock the elbows out fully behind your head? And you have pretty good. See, Kyle is one of those guys. You have pretty good shoulder mobility. Now, what you're probably lacking is a little bit of stability. So doing some of those banded stuff, because, you know, the band is like, the good thing about the band is that it gives you that constant tension. The bad thing about the band is that, you know, obviously as you pull farther out, the tension is harder and it's a little weaker here. But that's kind of but that's the way that you can use it then. So, you know, doing sort of arm circles like I was showing you, where it kind of loose, a little bit looser here and a little bit tighter back here. Because, you know, the farther you go back behind your head, the harder it is. And then the harder the band is. So it's kind of like you're emphasizing that point. So, you know, I do a lot of band stuff.
Yeah, so what I used to do for shoulder mobility, and I think I basically messed up. I used to have, I think, really good shoulder mobility. And all I would really do was the thing where you grab your hands behind your back like this. And then I would kind of like move around and like push the limit, like almost like Kundalini yoga, like sit and like move my body with my hands in that position. And I could always do it better with my right hand as the top hand.
Yeah, most people are always better with one side than the other.
And then over the 15 years off and on that I've done jiu-jitsu, I would let people go pretty far with kimuras and I guess Americanas because I could.
Yeah, that's fucked up, bro. You shouldn't do that.
Well, so at this late hour, 36, 37 years old, it just occurred to me that just because you don't have one acute, like, oh, I had a tear, doesn't mean that I wasn't getting little bits of damage from letting people sort of go through a pretty extreme range of motion in those submissions. Because, yeah, my shoulder mobility and even my, like, I used to, a couple years ago, I think, so around 2019, I was at this really awful point where I was doing jiu-jitsu and I was doing the kind of really basic lifting, just maintenance stuff. Like I was doing squats, deadlifts. And then for shoulders, I would do stuff like handstand push-ups with my feet against the wall. And it got to the point with my wrists and shoulders where I couldn't even do it. Like,
oh, you mean you couldn't flatten out your hands like that?
I could physically do it, but it felt like my wrists were going to snap. Like I had the feeling like there was tremendous weakness in my wrists. Whether or not there was, or it was just the pain, but it was weird. It was pain, but it was also a feeling like this feels like it's about to give out.
Yeah,
and then my shoulders
probably on this side, right? On the on this side of your palm. Yeah, and that's very common, man. Seriously, I oftentimes I work for 30 minutes with people just on their wrists because there's lots, and I posted about it on Instagram. I'm planning on doing more of this stuff. I'm kind of lazy about it, I guess, because it takes time because I want to make it look good or whatever. Anyway, yeah, there's lots of exercises that you should be doing for your wrists constantly, especially if you have things like that bother you. Or just at least I tell people, like, just touch the floor daily. Like you're doing handstand push-ups, that's awesome. But that's like, the average person cannot do it. The average person is afraid to even get on their hands. Right? So when I meet those people, what do you think? Okay, let's get on the ball. No, not right away. So what I do is like, we start with, push-ups. Maybe it's knee push-ups. Then it's like, go to your toes. Then we try some crawling variations. Now, the crawling thing became kind of a very nerdy, douchey fitness thing because there's a lot of those like animal style fitness, which it's just like so douchey.
Monkey style.
Yeah, monkey style or like whatever. Like, oh, do the hippopotamus across like stop. But the point is, I will say that, yeah, touching the floor is super good because exactly that's what you're doing is I've met kids. I had a teenager I used to train that he couldn't get his hand past like, what is this, 45 degrees. His wrist did not bend backwards at all. And if you're a teen and it's already like that, can you imagine how it's going to be when you get older?
Yeah, is it possible that could be a structural issue with some people where it's not necessarily their flexibility?
I would say, yeah, it's like people, I think it also in like the strength and conditioning world, it also became a thing like it's either or. I don't think it's like that. I think yes. Like with the squat, for example, it's a very common one. Like everybody has a very particular different squat. And yes, there are some people like right out of the gate, their ankles are just shaped weird and their hips are shaped weird. So they can't get down in that low position to take a shit. But like I would argue if truly, not that I'm not saying that that's like the world that we should be living in is the natural world out in the forest. But if they were living out in the forest, you know what I'm saying? Like the natural way, I guarantee you over time, they would be able to squat down and take a shit because that's just like, that's how our bodies are kind of have been, I don't want to say designed, but you know what I'm saying? That's just kind of where we came from.
And they would be doing it so often.
Yes,
instead of just like for an exercise session.
Yeah, and I also would argue that it's way worse to go into the gym and do that for an hour and murder yourself. You know what I'm saying? 4 times a week, even if you're doing it daily. It's way more beneficial to do it for 2 minutes every day, a couple times a day, because then you're really developing
mobility type stuff.
Yeah, versus doing it treating it like a workout, because most people, they feel guilty, and I get it. Most people are busy, but with those busy people, I just tell them, just do it frequently throughout your day, and there's no excuse. Like you can always squat down in your kitchen. You can squat down in your fucking, in your office job for 2 seconds. Just literally squat down for a second, sit down like that. So yeah, so what I'm saying is it's just better to do it more frequently and treating it less like a workout, because when you treat it like a workout, people just get way less benefit out of it,
Right. What about warming up though?
Warming up before workouts, you mean?
Before, so with some of these mobility things, like I've noticed that, actually I was just doing push-ups a few days ago, and the first, set, I was like, ow, like my shoulder felt, the whole post-surgery area felt really weird. And I was like, I don't even know if I can do this. And then the second set felt normal. So it's like I just had to work through some. And I've had that with the handstand push-ups before, where the first set, my wrists, everything feels really crappy. And it's like, I don't think I can even do this exercise. And then after that, so with mobility stuff,
I was thinking just over time, and I've done all 3 of these kind of versions, and I think there's like 3 schools of thought. Like one is like, don't warm up, the Kelly Starrett kind of thing. Have you heard of him? Like,
no, I have not.
The foam roller guy.
Okay, I've heard of the foam roller, but not the person.
He is the guy kind of that popularized, like, grab a lacrosse ball and put it in your asshole and lay on it. I'm kidding, put it in your asshole, but on your hips or whatever. He's the guy. Kelly Starrett became very prominent on CrossFit scenes. He has this whole pitch of like, does a leopard in the wild warm up before it kills its prey, Kyle? Huh? Does it? And it's like, I get what you're saying. So there's that school of like, fuck warming up. You should be always ready to go. All systems go. By the way, he just recently had like a bunch of knee surgeries anyway. I'm just saying. Then there's a school of thought of like maybe like the Steve Maxwell, Steve Cotter-ish kind of guys who will do like a full joint mobility routine before a workout, right? And they have versions where it's shorter, where it's longer, right? I've taken classes with both those guys, and they have versions of literally like just 30 minutes of you taking each joint, your neck, your shoulders, your elbows, and just going up and down before you start a workout. And then there's maybe the school of thought of like, whatever, pick a lift, bench press. Okay, you're bench pressing, so get on the bench press the bar, 15 reps, put a little more weight on, which is kind of associated classically with like bodybuilders, right? So I just think it's about like context, like what stage are you at? Like, so if you're hurt and And it always seems like people, if they're hurting somewhere, they're usually hurting in many other places or a few other places. So if it's people like that, I actually do, and especially if they're the tight kind of person that, like you and I, probably not those guys because we can get our shoulders up, so we're pretty open. But those people that literally, I mean, I have people that, can't put their hand over their fucking head, you know what I mean, at all. Like it just stops right there.
Yeah,
You know
well.
what I'm saying? Anyway. So with those people, I do have them do a little, maybe a long joint mobility routine, and then we do a workout. And then whatever exercise we're doing, we'll start with a lighter weight or a lighter progression. Like let's say if you're doing handstand push-ups, you could turn it into just regular push-ups first on the floor. Then you go into a pike push-up, where you're kind of doing like a downward dog. You know what I'm saying? Like a yoga downward dog. And you're doing it that way, so your feet are still on the floor. Then you put your feet up on the box, do a couple reps there. And between each set, you do a set, then you shake it out, relax for a minute or two. Then you put your feet on the box, maybe a taller box, and then you're ready to rock to do the real thing. So I don't think for the average person that like fitness is not their life. Everybody should be warming up that way. And by the way, like all professional athletes, everybody does warm up. Nobody goes into the gym and just fucking, okay, man, here we go. PR, right off the first set. So it's really, but like I said, and especially if you're prone to injuries or if you're super tight and hurting all over the place, then you should definitely be doing some sort of like joint mobility routine or just something. It could be even, I guess it could be even cardio, just something getting you going to loosen you up. So,
all right, that actually sort of transitions into another note I have, which is so you've sent me some Instagram accounts and some different things, and the exercises you do. You just said Steve Maxwell. I'm a long-term Steve Maxwell respecter. I have those mobility DVDs. I think they're actually at an uncle's. The physical DVDs are at an uncle's house. I lent them to him. I don't think he uses them at all, but I ripped him onto hard drives and stuff.
Oh, nice. Dude, I lost mine. I don't know where they are. I tried looking for them the last time we talked about this, which was like a while ago, and I just couldn't find them. I don't know, man. So sad.
Yeah, I looked on, and in the, the age of internet, you can like find any, some like old VHS show, that like to buy on the internet somewhere, eBay. I never saw them.
Nope.
But anyway, so, and then there's the accounts that you think are a little bit goofier, or people that are like, oh, do this functional thing, and then of course there's CrossFit. So the point is, there's so many things, and even if we cut out half of the exercise modalities that people talk about doing because we're like, okay, this is unnecessary, redundant, perhaps even bad, pointless, it's just cut out half of the bad stuff. Even what's left, if you were to go, okay, I'm going to do weight training.
Yeah, it's still a lot.
Some some mobility like you would be exercising all day.
Yeah.
So how does one, when I was doing jujitsu, and back when I was even more serious about it and doing like Muay Thai and stuff, I kind of felt like that was a type of full body workout. And then I would do a little bit of compound movement, lifting, and I guess I kind of felt like the jiu-jitsu was a lot of mobility stuff, although now I'm thinking, I mean, it's hard to say.
A specific type of mobility. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
involuntary mobility.
It's all specific. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, because it's frustrating, right? Because it's like you want to find that one holy grail that's like it'll take care of everything. And like, yeah, it'll take care of everything in this world, but then you jump into another world. Then you jump into Muay Thai, and it's like, this fucking jiu-jitsu I was doing ain't doing shit for me here, man.
So if somebody wanted to go in, for like a 4 or 5 day a week, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I will probably at some point get back into MMA type stuff. But right now I'm actually not doing any of that, and I haven't been since the surgery. But I have been going to just a regular gym and getting back into, I'm pretty much back into a normal weight training thing. But yeah, so you show up and you're like, okay, I'm going to do legs. I'll build everything around the squat, right? That's like the most important leg exercise. And I'll do squats, maybe a leg press. a calf
Yeah, that's
raise.
the most important leg exercise if you're talking to a power lifter. You know what I'm saying? Or a old school bodybuilder. Now, like modern bodybuilder dudes, they barely squat halfway down. You know that? Like dudes that like you see a Gold Gym nowadays, like the guys that are like not like Jay Cutler era, like now
Hmm.
the Phil Heaths, they barely squat, dude. They're doing leg press and they're doing leg extensions and hack
Yeah.
squats on the machine. But I'm just I
Is that
agree with you. It's
because
not like I'm disagreeing
you
with you.
don't need that for the hypertrophy? You don't need like the full squat.
Yeah. Yeah. Why? And with how much risk of an injury do you have
Hmm.
there? Right? Like you have a lot. Your back could fuck up. Your shoulder. Plus, most of them talking about shoulder mobility. Most of them, dude, they can't do this.
Right.
They can't get their hands behind their head at all. They either squat like this, and you even see it on guys like what's the Smell brothers, Mark Bell. You know those brothers. You know I'm talking about, power lifters. No, well, see,
No.
you don't know. Anyway, but they're prominent on YouTube. I'm sure some of your followers will know. He squats like that because he can't get his hands like this, so he has his hands out like that. But like I said, I guess what you're yeah, it's like you're asking, how do you decide? I think the first thing though is to be really fucking honest with yourself. And I've been there too, where I wasn't honest with myself, where I was like training, doing something very uber specific, like kettlebell sport training. I
Hmm.
was involved in kettlebell sport. I kind of got pretty good at it. Um, and really, I just wanted to look good, like naked. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to look. No, seriously.
American
But I was
Pie.
training. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to look good, but I was training not in accordance to that. Like it's like this is like, yes, could this type of training make me burn calories and make me sweat or whatever? Yes, but like, is this the most efficient way to go about looking good? So, and I think 9 out of 10 dudes want to look good naked. You know what I mean? Like almost everybody, unless if you're that guy that's like just you have a six pack since I don't know third grade and you just never lost it and you don't care. So like I guess I'm just saying, get really honest. What do you want to do? You want to just look good, but at the same time, there's those guys, right, that are like, I want to look good, and I want to be functional or whatever. I want to be athletic. So
Hmm.
then now it's like two things. So expand it slowly. So if you want to look good, probably powerlifting is. I mean, have you seen a power lifter? You know what I'm saying? Probably.
Hmm.
you- Am I saying a squat, bench press, deadlifts? Those are stupid. No, I'm not saying those are stupid exercises. I'm just saying, do you want to look like a blueberry, or do you want to look something, right? You know what I'm saying? Because most of them look like blueberries. They're really round in the middle, right? Because they're doing all this crazy work that's requiring a lot of core tension here. So get honest with it first. What do you want to do? Or are you already super shredded and hot? Okay, you're getting all the babes, and you
Hmm.
want to, and really what you want to do is be athletic. Okay, then it's like take a step. So step by step, I think it's like figure out what you want to do. So if you want to break it down
Right.
like that, we can.
Well, okay. So when I say, I do like squats and deadlifts, I am not doing powerlifting. I haven't deadlifted more than like 3 plates
Hmm.
for, I don't even know, 10 years. I think the
Hmm.
most I ever deadlifted was like in the 400s when I was really into weightlifting in high school and then early college. And yeah, since then, the most I've ever done is, like some reps of three, what is it, 315.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
usually I'll put on 225 and do like higher reps, and then maybe like what is it if you put 275 if you put 225s on each side after.
Two. What do you mean? 220, 245 is going to be
Yeah,
225, and then
225, and then you add the
yeah,
225s, and that's 275. Yeah.
275.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's kind of like the range that I'm deadlifting at. So
Deadlifting.
it's like higher reps, and then maybe when I get closer to that 300 pounds, it's like,
Couple of pulls and set it down.
I mean, like maybe 6 to 8 or something. And then
That's
with the
good.
squat, I haven't squatted more than 225. I mean, maybe I've put on like 235 just to see what it feels like or something, but I haven't actually done like a real set of more than
Hmm.
225 on the squat again for 10 years.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. Like I weigh about 175 and I'm trying to lose weight. So I'm not going
No.
to increase it in a substantial way,
Yeah.
my lifts. And for bench, I don't care at all. I think my
Hmm.
best bench ever was probably like 235. Although I'll tell you what, when I did that, I was on like an Agenus von der Planet's primal diet, and I only weighed like 150 something. So
still a strong,
yeah,
a strong bench press.
And I wasn't
really strong bench press.
Yeah, I wasn't really lifting that much, and I started lifting again because my younger cousins, wanted to lift, and I was showing them how to do stuff, and I just started getting into it. And yeah, I would do like 185 for like 12 or something, and then eventually I got to like where I could do like 225 for like 2 or 3 reps at like 100, like under 155 pounds.
That's good. That's like that young, dumb, full of cum energy,
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But since then, I mean, I don't even think, well, of course, after the surgery, like I would be afraid to even just put 135 on the flat bench.
I would tell you, don't even fucking bench press with a bar. Well, first, hold on.
You have been telling me that.
I have been telling you that. We can talk about it why. But first, I want to take a step back. Like, those lifts that you're talking about. Okay, let's break those down. Like squat, bench press, and deadlift. Bench press always has been around, right? Everybody always been bench pressing since fucking Arnold days. Yeah. Everybody. It always became, well, it's since that era that it became kind of the cock measuring contest, right? Amongst dudes in like college and high school and stuff.
There was an SNL skit about it. Do you remember?
What was that?
It was like Chris Farley. It was like 4 of the SNL players from like the 90s, I think, and they had big muscle upper body suits.
When and they got this
and the fake tiny legs, and they had a call-in show. And it was called "What Do You Bench?" And a caller would call in, and they'd be like, "Hey caller, what do you bench?"
Yeah, those are the good days of SNL, eh? How times have changed.
Yeah, and the caller would be like, "Why are your legs so small?" And then they would just all roid rage like on it.
That's what I was just gonna say though. But see what I'm saying? Like, but pop culturally, like even 15 years ago, right? Would you say that you'd see as many girls on Instagram fucking squatting and deadlifting as you do now?
Well, they weren't even really lifting.
They weren't even really lifting, but now they're all lifting. And what are they all like? Almost all the ones that look good and know what the fuck they're doing, all of them are constantly posting videos of squatting and deadlifting, right? So it's like just pop culturally, it's funny how it kind of evolved. And so because of that, I think everybody started to focus on like, oh, bench press, deadlift, because you have guys like the power lifter guy, Louis Simmons. That's the most important to lift. That's all you got to do. You do those, you get really good. You're gonna be good. So it kind of became this thing of like those are the most important. And I'm not saying they're not important, but I'm just saying, like, it kind of became, it wasn't like that 15 years ago. And now it's just everybody's doing squat, everybody's doing deadlift.
Well, okay. My perspective as like an American high school student that went to the local gym and like the old gym heads would teach, or like the football coach or whatever, the 3 power lifts.
It's those, yeah.
That was, those were like the respected lifts, and everything else was like, and there were some guys there that did competitions, like, benching competitions, even some of the high schoolers. My bench sucked back then, so I so back then it was like, at least what I grew up with when I was, 15, 16, 17 was...
It's those 3.
Yeah,
right?
and a 5-day split.
I said, the football coaches, I'm not saying, I know those guys those guys that have been there for 40 years, right? I know those guys. I'm just saying like pop culture, you know what I mean? Like whatever, girls on Instagram, the average chick, the average gym goer, nobody was doing that. Everybody was bench pressing, but nobody was squatting and deadlifting. And now,
girls weren't,
of course, I go to the gym. Yeah, well, even the dudes weren't really. The high school dudes that are with the football coaches, but like the average people weren't. It's funny how it was really different in Russia. In Russia, it was all about pull-ups, man. Everybody did pull-ups. We used to do a game. It was a game. I didn't even think about it as a workout when I was a kid. A ladder. I do 1 pull-up, you do 1. I do 2, you do 2. We do 3, and then we see who couldn't do the set.
Right.
And so to this day you see that also like culturally, like those bar stars guys, those guys that do crazy tricks on the we call them turkmena. Turkmena, it's like turnik is this the bar that you hang on, to do pull-ups, and we call them turkmen, like so people that do bar stuff. They're almost all of them are like Slavic. The champion ones, they're all like either Ukrainian or fucking Russian or Polish or whatever.
There was a time period when pull-ups were important. There in elementary school.
JFK era? Elementary.
Yeah. Well, there's this leftover thing. They probably have gotten rid of it by now. I'm not familiar with what's going on.
For sure, probably.
But it was like a fitness test when you're really young. It was like a national thing where you like boys had to be able to do like 2 or 3 pull-ups or something when they're like 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at that time, you know, in the playground, kids would, you know, you'd be cool if you could do a bunch of pull-ups.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'll also say that what's an awesome thing that America has retained, and it's still around, the wrestling programs in high school. They always have a rope. They always have rings. They always do pull-ups, and they always
And the
and if they
pegs.
don't do, and they have they
Wall
have all that
pegs.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the American wrestling system is fantastic for all. They do good stuff. But yeah. So how we got to talking about this?
So we're talking about all of these different exercise modalities, and you know what's popular, what's like if you just want to be a person that. And so for me, I'm gonna go back to martial arts, and yeah, I guess I just want. It's funny when you sit and try to say like what your goals are because you kind of just keep adding to them. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you know, I'd actually like to be able to, you know, BJ Penn, like put my foot behind my head without my hands, and you know what I mean. Like it's like, what wouldn't you like to do?
Yeah. All of jump out of the pool. Remember that? When you used to jump out of the pool.
Is that actually
I hate.
difficult?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, dude. Try. You ever try it?
I've never tried. I'd be afraid of like hitting the
I
side.
did it. I smashed. I remember to this day. I smashed my fucking shin. I remember I was screaming. I was like, ah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can
it's
see
different.
that happening. So basically, you know, and you're right. These things, I mean, right now, like having a big butt is cool. So people are squatting, and doing all kinds of like, and now there's the hip thrust. It's so funny. Like the sexualization of culture has sexualized, fit like exercise culture. Because it's just like, what are the like sex movements? Like how can
Oh yeah. Well, my favorite thing is when I go into the gym, and this happens literally almost daily. I go into the gym, and there's this girl, and she has, you know, a white tank top, not a tank top, a sports bra, because tank top would mean that there's more clothing. No, like it's literally a sports bra. She has white leggings, you know, the short leggings, right? You can see the bottom of her butt cheeks. And then she's on the fucking bench doing hip thrusts, right? In the middle of all these dudes just, you know, doing curls, you know what I mean? And then she has like a hat on and headphones on. And it's like, look at me, but don't look at me. Look at me, but don't look at me.
right?
And they're just doing this shit daily, these girls. It's so funny. And then you see all these horny guys come up to them and try to chat, you know, and they're just like, oh my God, can't you see? I'm dressed like this, but I don't want you to talk to me. I'm doing hip thrusts, okay?
Yeah, I have seen that. You know, it's in my gym. There's a female only area, and so yeah, so
Seriously?
yes. There's, and I've seen this in other gyms too. There's an area of like free
Is it like
weights and stuff.
snippet? Or it's like just the girls go there?
No, it just says like women only.
I've never seen that in California, at least. Wow.
Maybe.
Although you'd be surprised, right? You'd think this is the spot.
Yeah, I mean, maybe with like the concentration of transsexuality there, it would be very like a difficult policing procedure. But no, it's just like a low key thing. I think they just have, it's like a doubling of the free weight area, and maybe some machines. I mean, I've never been in there, so I don't know. But so what's funny, it's kind of like in Japan, they have the female only train cars, and then they talk about how women sometimes get like molested in the trains, but the female only train cars are empty, so that means that they're choosing to be in a train car that where they may get molested. And it's like this, like there's girls, so if any girl is lifting with equipment that is in the female only area and wearing really provocative clothing and then acting like she's annoyed about it, it's like pretty obviously disingenuous.
They don't want to go there. Yeah, that's an interesting area. I wonder who put that area up in your gym. What kind of gym is this? Like a LA Fitness or something?
It was a Gold's,
Like a private gym? Oh, a Gold's? Really?
but they broke their affiliation like 4 or 5 years ago, and now it's just called Fitness CF, and there's a few locations in the Central Florida area. But I used to go to a Gold's that had that affiliation in Winter Haven, and I think they also had a female-only area.
I don't know. I've never seen that. I mean, our female-only area is just the area where there's the hip thrusts and there's the booty machines. That's the female.
You know, I want to do that exercise, but
Which one? The hip thrust?
yeah, but I can't because Because I'm not a girl, so
Hey,
I
dude,
don't.
there's lots of dudes doing it here. I mean, Brett Contreras. Have you heard that name before? No, he's the guy
Maybe.
that kind of really popularized it. He has lots of millions of followers on Instagram. I did a workshop with him. Yeah, and yeah, he's just he does it all the time. He does like 8 plates, fucking and, yeah. So
Thrust through the wall.
yeah, yeah. But see, that's like a very so there we go. That's like a very specific exercise. Like there's literally no reason for you to do it. I mean, he would probably argue that yes, it builds your glutes and but my point is that's like a very specific exercise to do is specifically if you want to grow your ass. You know what I mean? If you're the average guy, and you have some ass, like you don't look like a pancake in the back, a squatting and lunging will cover it if you do it right, right? And if you do it, and if you do progressive overload, all that good stuff. So, there's one thing I guess you can, know how to choose if you do want to do that one or not, the hip thrust.
Well, yeah. So like if you just show up and you want to do like a leg workout, right? Um, and you've got, like you were saying, squats. So I do squats just because it's kind of it sort of engages the whole body. Like I said, I'm not trying to get a big squat or anything like that. I also see it as a monitoring system when you do compound lifts like that. Like if you have pain in some areas, you can kind of tell what's going on with your body. Like if you're doing isolation exercises, you don't have as much of an idea of like what's going on with your body necessarily. Like if you're having a pain somewhere, because you can avoid a lot of the articulation movements, to do something by just isolate, but afterwards a lot of times I'll do one-legged squats, just body weight, one-legged squats.
Like a pistol squat, you mean, right?
Yeah, pistol squat at the end. And then when you get into that world, there's all kinds of exotic stuff. And I'm like, oh, should I be hitting this? Should I be hitting that?
So how do you decide?
I basically just come up with a regular thing that I do. So right now I show up, I usually warm up for like 5 minutes on a rowing machine. I really like rowing machines. I just like it. And it can warm up like your legs and your upper body and everything. And then if there's a free squat rack, I'll just take it then. And if there's not, I'll do something else like calf raises. And as soon as there's an open squat rack, I'll do squats. Then because you said to, I'll immediately do leg curls, the standing kind.
Hey, hamstrings. That's what my first thing I was going to tell you. Yes.
I do those twice because I do those on deadlift day.
Yeah.
Because they're like a posterior chain thing. But I also do a set of those on, I guess, like pressing leg exercise day, because you said it's important to balance out. So that brings up another thing, balancing out. Like the hip thrust thing. It's like, okay, let's say that your butt looking good isn't your highest priority. Like, of course, everybody would prefer that. But people also talk about balancing things out. Like it's not necessarily a good idea to have super strong muscles here, but not like,
let's say, yeah. Behind, I know what you're saying. Yes. So that's, yeah. So there we go. Like, I think that should be step number one, probably. And again, unless if you're a professional athlete and you've probably been balanced out, the average person is not. Most people have what I call like a shrimp posture or cashew. They're really tight and rounded over. Their pecs are tight. They have a bad kind of a posture. They never train their back. And what they do on gym day, they go inside the gym and they do bench press, and then they do crunches, and then they do biceps. That's it. So they just do literally the front area of their body. Right. And then when it's back day, the next day, or probably like the end of the week when they're like, oh, fuck it, I guess I got to hit some back this week, they'll do like a couple of the pull downs like this, like really half-assed, right? And then they'll do some rows and then they'll go home. You know what I'm saying? So with me, I really like, and this is where actually like classic bodybuilding is actually hit the nail on the head, is agonist antagonist sets. And I do that with my entire body, unless like you said, if I'm really working on something specifically. But what I mean by agonist antagonist is like, if I'm doing biceps, I'm going to do triceps. I don't like that whole thought of let's do bench press, because guys do bis and pecs, right? Pecs and bis. Monday and then Tuesday back and tris. like because the idea being is you're going to do bench press on Monday, your biceps are really fresh because you haven't used them because you haven't done any back, and then you do your biceps. And then the next day you do back, your triceps are really fresh because you haven't used them, so you do triceps. That's one way of thinking about it. But that's only, again, that's if you're specifically trying to be a bodybuilder. Sure, that could work. I mean, again, it could all work. That's one of Steve Maxwell's one genius sayings. You know, he just says it all works. Just what do you want to do with it, right? And he's right, though. You know what I mean? It really all works. But what I do with myself and with clients, 99% of the time, I do agonist antagonist. So I don't have a pec and bicep day. I have a bicep and tricep day. So if I want to work my arms, that's cool. I do biceps, some sort of exercise for biceps. Then I immediately do a set of exercise for triceps. Could it be maybe 2 or 3 exercises of biceps in a row and then 2 or 3 exercises of triceps in a row? Yes. But the point being is that I want this shit to be equally strong. Because like I said, what most guys do is they go fucking hard on bench press and curls up to 50s, you know, yeah. And then when it's like back day, like I said, a little bit of pull downs, then they do that like stupid tricep press down, like really bad, like the range of motion like this, you know. And then they go
So you're
home.
saying stuff
so
that
like
accentuates the shrimp.
Exactly. But I'm also saying that they're not working themselves as hard. Like, be honest, you know, do you love working triceps? Like nobody likes working triceps.
Actually, I do.
Everybody. Well, good. Well, yeah, because you're a smart man.
No, I don't have the same things like likes and dislikes. That's
good.
I like tricep exercises, bicep exercises. Chest exercises are okay. Shoulders I like. Back I actually like. I don't dislike
That's awesome.
it. The only things I don't like are like I actually don't like doing squats. I don't like having weight.
Yeah, well, they're hard. Yeah. Nobody likes it. I think you're an asshole if you really like, you know, I mean, only Tom Platz, and even Tom Platz said he hated doing squats, you know, the best legs in bodybuilder history. So if I'm doing pecs, I never have people do, you know, okay, chest day, let's do bench press, and then flies, and then presses, and then that's it. And then like do like one. And I always have, if we're going to do push-ups, I superset it with pull-ups.
What about the philosophy of including the minor muscle? So what I had been doing is a split of upper, lower body, and then push-pull. So like I would do chest, shoulders, and triceps kind of in the same day. Because your triceps all are being used in all of the chest exercises anyway, and your shoulders, not all 3 heads, but at least the front heads of your shoulders are being used in all the chest exercises.
Well, you know the head things. You know the head thing is kind of really old school. There's like 8 heads now. They're figuring out. There's lots of divisions in the shoulder. But anyway, I see. I get your point. You could do push day and pull day. Again, could you do it if you're more or less healthy? Yes, but I just don't think most people aren't balanced well enough. I prefer, like I said, push pull. So if I'm doing press, I'm gonna do a set of something for back.
So, but what about But when you're doing, like if you do a set of lat pull downs or rows, right? You are working your biceps.
But minorly. Are you going to tell me you're going to get sore from lat pull downs?
I don't know.
Biceps?
One of my issues, and you mentioned this last year, like when I was like shopping around the physique cosplay idea, is that my arms and shoulders as well
take over work
have always not just functionally but just aesthetically, like for whatever reason, you know, the insertions, people if I hear somebody say insertions about muscles one more fucking time, but
listen, I know what you're getting at. In my career, you know, I've been doing this shit for 15 years. I've never one time met a person that did a back, like a pull-up workout. And by the way, most people, when I just meet a new, you know, client or whatever, I murder their back for a few weeks because I know that their back is weak. I know that they've never done proper pull-ups, and I know that they suck. Okay, so I just murder their back, and then when it catches up, then we start doing all the other stuff. I've never a single time in my life, and I work with a lot of people, met a person that did pull-ups and then told me, wow, my back, my lats are like, you know, the V taper, right? My V taper is really coming out. Like, wow. It's always, oh man, my arms are dead. And you know why? It's because they're using their arms to pull. And so that now we're getting into another issue. It's like how you're doing the exercise, which is, by the way, the most important thing. It's not the weight. It's not even the progressive overload, because there's bodybuilders that have curled 40-pound dumbbells their entire fucking careers and their biceps have grown. Yeah, they're doing steroids, but everybody's doing steroids. You know what I'm saying? So like with back, you know, there's a great saying, elbows and angles. elbows and angles. It's all about where your elbow is positioned, and is it that your elbow is pulling the weight, or is it your bicep pulling the weight? You can like grab somebody's arm. I wish you were here. I could do it, show it to you. But anyway, if you grab somebody's arm and pull it, what you can do is you can flex your bicep to pull them towards you. Or you can imagine this is just a rope and it's just hanging on, holding onto the arm. And what I'm going to do is like somebody's taking my favorite word, weenus, your weenus, right? And literally pulling them with your weenus. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're getting your elbow past your midline. And the pull is, like I said, it's not coming from here. Mm-hmm. It's coming from here. Even though it looks like the same movement, by the way.
But your bicep is statically holding that angle.
It's still working. But, and like I said, and so working with these people over years. And by the way, it may take you fucking 4 years. One of my best clients that I've been with since, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years, came to me. He couldn't do one. He did 2 pull-ups, and it was all arms. No back. His back looked, it was just pancake. Okay, nothing there going on. Recently, he just did a ladder of 1 to 10 pull-ups, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10, and then back down to 1. Mm-hmm. And when I talk pull-ups, by the way, I'm not talking about, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about full palms forward, full stretch at the bottom, whole head above the bar. Why whole head above the bar? Because again, I want your elbow to go past your midline to get a full stretch. Because if you're just sitting there and you pull your arm back, it doesn't stop here, does it? But most people do their pull-ups just like that. Your elbow stops all the way back here. So my point is, and it took him 4 years, but now he has a sexy looking back, no homo, but and it looks it looks good, and he feels his back. So now when we do sets of back, he's like, oh shit, my back, and it took him literally years to feel that. So, and that's like that, by the way, with every muscle, and everybody has some sort of muscle that's like that. It could be triceps, it could be biceps. Sometimes it's the exercise you're doing. Sometimes it's the way you're doing it. And sometimes it's just not enough time. You just haven't built, they call that mind-muscle connection. In the kinesiology world, it's proprioception, kinesthetic proprioception. Doesn't fucking matter what you call it. So the point is, so that's why I don't like the pushing thing, because I think most people can feel their pushing muscles, unless maybe the exception of like a bench press, or where like you said, you feel your shoulders blow up, but your pecs don't. So with you, I would say stop doing the bench press and stop doing it with the bar, especially because again, the bar stops on your chest. Yeah. I say grab dumbbells and lay on a thinner bar if you can, or on a thinner bench if you can find it, or put a foam roller on your bench. That will allow your elbows, again, to go down really deep and get a big stretch on your titties. And then you press them up, touch in the middle, or do flies. And you probably do those exercises, and you probably felt your pecs way more than you have ever done when you do
I've been doing flies as like a rehab thing to kind of monitor how much it hurts and stuff for a full... Because that's the way the tendon, that was ruptured and repaired is I really don't feel it much with pressing. I feel pain in the bicep, which apparently is a common thing because the bicep tendon,
the head goes across the shoulder.
It's overlapped by the pec. Mm-hmm. So if there's like an inflammation, an issue with the pec tendon, it'll like. But what the worst motion is that abducting, like fly type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And why? Because that's fucking mostly peg, because you just can't do it any other way, yes, your front head is working on the deltoid a little bit, right? But, it's mostly peg, especially if you're getting a good stretch on it.
See, I've always felt like flies were a little unnatural.
But then, but then here's the thing, Kyle. Like, am I going to, that's unnatural. And also, I will not tell you that you're going to build a big chest doing fucking cable flies, because you won't. You just won't, but you'll feel a lot more because you still need some. If you want a big pecs, if you want those Arnold pecs, you need a lot of roids, but you also need to you need to go heavy on weights. And so that's why those guys did the exercises the way they did, which they would do bench press, presses with dumbbells, and flies. So that by the end, when your muscles is already kind of fatigued, even if you weren't feeling it, you can really push the blood into there and really try to stretch out that pec. And no matter what, even if you felt it or not, just like I was saying with back, no matter what, it's working. But the idea is for me, working with clients.
It is very weird though, because if you're doing the work, right? Like if you're doing let's say somebody does a pull up and the form is good and the range is good, and they just don't feel it in their back, versus either the same person later, says that they feel the exercise in their back, or somebody else that immediately does. How much of a difference? Because if they're doing the same work, almost like from a physics perspective, right? Like the load is moving from here to here,
Yeah. I think I
like
understand.
the muscle has to be doing it.
I was gonna tell you. Well, no, brother. That's the thing. They've done these. They've done lots of these things. They have people that have a better proprioception. They have them squeeze a fucking one of those little handles. They do it in physiology class in college. One of those little squeezer
the hand
things.
strength monitor thing.
And people can fucking control which muscle gets worked more. And you can do that with everything. So like I said, for me, it's always because I'm trying to get people to, I want you to be able to feel your back. Most people cannot, you tell them flex your back. They're like, what do you mean flex my back? No, but seriously, they just flex their shoulders and they flex their biceps because it's right here and they know it and they've done it before. Flex your back. What do you mean? Like spread my wings? Like what the fuck are you talking? Oh wow, like because people do it all the time. I'm like this. Look at the lat, and they're like, oh wow, you have like a bone there. I'm like, it's not a bone. It's a fucking muscle. I'm flexing it.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for hamstrings, for example. Everything behind, people like to train the bathroom mirror muscles. Like bathroom mirror. What you see, like I said, is like pecs, maybe front deltoids, abs, and biceps. But like triceps, people have a hard time doing it. Like you see it all the time on the press downs. Like I was saying, first of all, it's half range of motion. And then you know what guys are doing? They're using their pecs to drive the elbow down.
Right, yeah.
Think about it.
So it becomes like a decline press.
Exactly. And then you're just wasting your time because it's not enough load for your pecs and you're not feeling your triceps. So you're just, standing there just jerking yourself off literally. And it looks like it.
So what do you think about just a little tiny tangent of how face pulls were like a meme a couple years ago? What do you think about those for the rear delts versus just reverse pec deck?
Yeah, you'll feel a reverse pec deck way more. And the face pulls, Charles Poliquin popularized that. I was going to do a post about it today because 5 years ago on this day, I was in Vegas with him and Dmitry Klokov. Do you know who that is? He's a Russian Olympian weightlifter, pretty really popular. He does a lot of like American CrossFit gym seminars and whatnot. Anyway, so he's the guy that popularized that exercise, and I always thought it sucked, and I thought back then, and I thought now, it's just so hard. Again, I have very good mind to muscle connection. I can and I've done lots of different things. But you still will feel your reverse pec deck more. But you don't have to do reverse pec deck. You could just grab light dumbbells, get low, and do back flies, Or what I like even better, decline your bench on like a really low incline, like a 30-degree incline. Lay on it. That way you're not working to keep yourself up. So you're just completely turning off everything. So that way you can really, again, focus. That's what I'm always trying to do with people. It's like focus. And then do your reverse flies that way. Again, though, dude, trust me, you know how hard it is to get people to feel their rear delts? Most people don't feel their rear delts. They feel their subscapularis and subscapulas pulling together. Think about it. Do you feel your mid-back? It's not a bad thing, by the way. It's not a bad thing. But if you want to completely isolate the rear head of the deltoid, you should stop about, literally about midline. If you go past that, it's good for your posture work because you're pinching your scapula together, but it's not really your deltoid anymore. So see what I'm saying? It's like, it's like what are you got to figure out what you're trying to do. And of course, if you want to just do both, just do the full thing because it's not like it's not working. But yeah.
Okay. So about benching in general. So one of the notes that I sent was of the three power lifts that we previously talked about, so deadlift, squat, and bench, it seems to me extremely like the bench is this outlier in how
useless
it's unnatural it is because of course they're all being done with barbells and stuff, so in that sense none of them are natural. But a squat, you can have a load on your back and squat it. You can pick something up bent over like a deadlift. You can't actually bench press because if you're standing up.
What do you mean, bro? When I was in the forest the other day, a car engine fell on me and I had to lift it up, and I did it a few times just to show that I could do it.
Yeah, there's no time in any type of real scenario when your back is braced against an immovable object like a wall or the ground and you're
And also, when your hands are, because when you're laying down on the bench, your hands are not 90 degrees. They're a little bit lower here. If you just lay on the bench, press your arms straight up. When you stand up and you don't move your hands are a
right.
little bit down. So it's not like a decline because that would be way down, but it's like a little bit of a decline. My point is, at least when you push in real life, you push like this, which is actually more of a like a small incline press.
Yeah, because when you touch the bar, it's usually like right around your nipples, which is not
Mm-hmm.
obviously your arms are at your shoulders, so it's lower than a
Mm-hmm.
straight out, like
It's
throwing
like
a
you're pushing that.
punch.
It's like if you were pushing a midget downwards. I guess It's like
Yeah.
it's like you would never do that in a real world, and it's very
So
bright, like you say. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
not only that, but I mean like pushing your the weak point of pushing when you're standing up is your ability to just keep yourself from moving backwards, like your attachment to the ground or the floor with your feet, right? You could never push, even if you could bench 400, you could never push something that's 400 pounds. Or if you did, you'd have to lean over so
Hmm.
much that you'd be like kind of pushing it like with your shoulder into it, or like in a strongman,
Yeah,
where you get your body like you're like that, there's like, and you're
yeah.
angling
Even
your
like a
body.
strongman competition, which by the way
Yeah,
they don't do bench press, right? They just do lifts. They lift overhead. They,
correct.
they don't do
They
it's funny.
right. They do shoulder press though.
Oh, well, yeah, and they do bench press in workouts. I mean, but the actual
No, I mean
competition,
in competition they will do
shoulder
they
press
will do
overhead. You
shoulder.
mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Overhead. I'm saying that they
Yes.
don't do
They won't do
traditional
bench. Yeah. They
powerlifting,
do
right? Bench press.
deadlift. They
Because
don't.
nobody cares what you can do lying down, pressing
So
off your
they
back.
do squats.
No, not traditionally. I mean, they carry shit, which,
They carry
and
shit.
again, in
Yeah.
training they squat, but again, they don't squat very deep because it's all about just most of the strongman stuff is like picking up. I guess the tire flip is kind of a squat again because it's all about moving shit. So like you said, bench press is like, and Charles Poliquin, who again trained the most Olympians out of the strength conditioning coach who trained the most Olympians in the world. He said the same thing. It's just an overrated exercise. Again, does it mean it's bad? You should never do it. No, but it would. I'll put it this way. Also, it draws like a very good picture. If you get better at your overhead pressing, like if you're able to press fucking 2.5, times your body weight over your head, you'll improve on your bench press this way, in your horizontal press. So if you get better at pressing overhead, vertically, you'll improve pressing horizontally. Now, vice versa is not true. Meaning, if you get a really good bench, and then because again, most of those powerlifting guys, they can't even get their hands over their head. Like Eddie Cohen, Eddie Cohen, the most decorated powerlifter.
Hmm.
There's videos of him doing like work with a chiropractor. This is how far his hand goes up. He just can't get it over his head. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Even though
and
he used to do like behind the neck press, he was really OG.
like that
That's cool.
Chinese weightlifter that from the Olympics,
Lou.
just yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't bench press
Mm-hmm.
because he said it ruins your shoulder mobility for the clean and jerk and snatch and all that stuff.
Yep. And again, think about it. Like when you're bench pressing, okay, just like tissue wise, okay, you're building more tissue in this direction, right? In this horizontal direction. Okay. And what is weightlifting about? It's about lifting the weight over your fucking head. It's two
Hmm.
moves, right? Clean and jerk and snatch. And Dmitry Klokov, who I was just telling you about, who I was working with the other day, 5 years ago, same thing. He doesn't do any bench press. He says most guys don't do bench press. They just do it for aesthetic reasons sometimes, and just for fun. It's not really a thing. So like if you're developing this tissue in this direction, it's gonna make it a lot harder for you to go up over your head, right?
Hmm.
So it's just kind of a useless exercise for them. So they do a lot of press behind neck, which is a fucking awesome exercise, which hits your deltoids fantastically. And yeah, and then they'll do some dips. Yeah. And then
So
don't
I've been
forget,
told that behind the neck stuff is dangerous,
yeah, like again, what do you mean by dangerous? You know what I mean? I've been doing it many
like
years,
shoulder
never hurt
injury
myself.
causing.
I mean, like, am I going for a 1 rep max on it? Never. I never press. I
Right.
never even. I'll never touch it below 6 reps. 6 reps is my top. That's it. Can I do it for 6? If I can't do it for 6, I don't go heavier. That's it. I go even lighter. 6 reps. It's just a mobility exercise. Because like I said, I mean, you can do it without any weight. And I do that with a lot of clients. I just give them a PVC pipe. Because like I told you, people can't get their fucking hands over their head. Put it on their neck like they're doing squat. Get it over your head. Push it down. Get it over your head. Push it down. And then you put it over your head and you squat down. And then can you do that? Have you done that before? You have good shoulder mobility. I know you could do it. But have you ever seen people putting an object over their head and then squatting down like a overhead squat? I guess they would say.
Yeah.
Most people can do it. The bar or whatever they're holding just goes forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what weightlifting is about, right? Can you get low in that snatch or clean and jerk and get it over your head? And then they got to straighten out with it. So yeah, and then whatever pec development those guys have, it's just some genetics, some steroids, some just being fucking strong.
Pecs are very, like, I think the whole roundness of the pecs is like entirely genetic. Because you see people like Arnold, and there's people that are way stronger in the chest but don't have.
Oh yeah, well most powerlifters don't have any tissue shape there. Yeah, they're just really big in their shoulders and they have massive triceps. That's it.
So the question is then, when you think of powerlifting and the three big lifts, it's almost like bench. From a health perspective, is it a bad idea to develop a ton of tissue in that bench pressing direction? Like is that actually just bad? Like maybe it's bad for your shoulder, it's bad for balance and stuff.
Yep, I would say yes, and that's why I rarely. I would say yes, and I would say if you want to bench press, use dumbbells, because whatever stuff you'll develop, it'll be a lot more mobile. And I also when I bench press with dumbbells, I have my palms facing forward, facing each other. So think about it, right? So if you're bench pressing, because the dumbbell will hit you, and if you externally rotate your thumbs, so they'll just go up, your palms are facing each other, it allows for a lot more room. And it gives me a full scapular pinch when I go down, and then I press them up. And then because the dumbbells are, there's two singular objects, right? 360 degrees of range of motion. I'm good. I'm not building tissue in this one area like when you do a bench press, because you're locked in. Now, yeah, you'll be able to press more weight, and that's why, because you're locked into the straight bar. It's going to go in one direction. And yeah, you'll probably maybe build, again, it's all genetics and it's all how you do it. But if you had to pick one and your goal is just pure size, pure fucking putting on weight, yeah, the traditional barbell bench press would do more for you. But who cares? Like I said, most people are not there. Like 99% of people are not there, They just want to get some muscle on there. And 2 dumbbells, full range of motion on the bench press, and you can change the incline, decline, that's fine too. Will do you just fine. But just like I said, do that, and then do some back work. So I always do superset, bench, pull-ups, different type of bench, pull-downs, different type of bench, flies, or I'm sorry, reverse flies. Yeah, reverse flies work. You know what I'm saying, for back. Oh, because then again, I'm building tissue here, but I'm not locking it in because I'm building some tissue behind me. And then maybe you can do some shoulders. But again, if you're doing shoulders overhead, I would still do your rear delts, like you said, or like a band pull apart. I really like Spree, SPRI, makes these little band pull aparts. I think I sent you them. It looks like a little.
I think I have one of them.
8 infinity loop. Yeah. Those are awesome for pull aparts. If you can get up to the purple. One time I got up to 2 purples, which is like the highest ones. And it was awesome. Super good for your shoulders, because you're literally just doing the reverse. So always superset it. So yeah. I mean, and again, most guys are just so overdeveloped on bench, and people like to do what they're good at. So if people are good at benching, which a lot of guys are.
There's also something fun about bench because it's not as much of a pain in the ass as squat and deadlift. So like you like when you're a kid or you're in high school or college or something, everybody can hang out around the bench, show off, try to get big numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering whether it should even be done, like you were saying, with the dumbbell. So I have been doing dumbbell incline presses, and I've been doing dips. I've been using, because decline seems to bother my tendon more than. Yeah,
because you're putting a lot of shoulder pressure into the AC joint there as you're going down.
So I actually take weight. I use one of those things that has the weight subtractor thing on the dips. I never used to use those before. I always thought that was corny.
So dips is another one though, Kyle. Like when you do dips, if you're being honest, if I say, Kyle, I'm gonna put a fucking gun to your head, do as many dips as you can. By the way, I hope you're doing them all the way down, that like your bicep touches your forearm. Hope you're not doing those shitty dips.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I think so.
If I put a gun to your head and I say, Kyle, do as many as you can, when you're done with that set, where will you feel the pump? Shoulders, triceps, or pecs? Because most people that I've worked with don't feel their pecs on dips, even though, by the way, it's one of my favorite exercises.
I think I would have to say triceps.
Triceps or front deltoids. A lot of guys
Yeah.
feel sore. And so the way that I would, so if the best dip bars, by the way, it's
I try to lean forward, right? Because if you lean forward,
that'll get your pecs a little bit more. Yeah,
I try to do that.
Like I said, and sometimes it's just certain things. Again, what is your goal for the day? You want to work your pecs, and if you know you don't feel your pecs that much on the dips, then just save that for later. Kill your exercise, kill your sets off with the dips at the end. But the best shaped V bar is like I said, it's shaped like a V. I'm saying the best bar that's for dips. That way you can figure out what width.
Yeah.
So if you want to feel your pecs, you want to go a little bit wider grip, chin down, and get your legs forward. Gymnasts do this. They call it a Russian dip. It's a L sit. You don't have to go full L sit. Yeah, you ever seen that? It's like you know what an L sit is, right? I have hands on the bar and I got my legs up, which most people can't even do that. But if you get that good, you could fuck around with that. Get into an L sit position and do your dips that way, and you're gonna crush your outside of your pec. You'll feel that a lot more. But you don't have to do a full L. You can just bring your legs forward, and then you look down. You're looking at your feet, and you're kind of like in this weird position. Versus like this, that's gonna be a little more triceps, a little more deltoids. Yeah.
Well, this is another sort of philosophical question. It's like, do you modify your movement because you want to hit a certain muscle a certain way, or do you modify the muscles you hit based on do you do this is how my body wants to do the movement, so I'm just going to go with that? Or do you obviously if you're brand new to any kind of training, you might just have bad habits. But then that gets to the whole question of what's natural and what's unnatural, and how much should we modify this sort of normal way you would instinctively do something because it seems like it's healthier. Is that itself kind of this artificial thing, right? Obviously bars and everything are artificial.
Yeah. And I've been there and done that too. To tell you the truth, dude, honestly, when I got into fitness and training, because I came from martial arts and then that went into fitness for me, or whatever, training, working out. I never did a bicep curl until I was in college. Swear to God. I literally, most guys do it the other way. And I'm saying most kids, teenagers get into bench press, like you said, your kind of way, right? But doing bicep curls, just doing traditional lifts. I kind of went the other way because I was just more into the performance side, I guess. So I was doing one arm chin ups and I was doing dips just because that was classic stuff that it was available, and it was just stuff and I saw at an early age that the guys that had the biggest bench press were the fucking weakest in real life, and the guys that had the biggest backs that could do the most amount of pull-ups were the strongest. Just facts. It'll always be like that unless our fucking physiology evolves somehow more. But so it was different for me. So I didn't get into that side of the aesthetic side until later, until I discovered Ziz, I guess.
Yeah, for me it's always been equal.
50-50.
And I think I just had an idea because I guess my early training was informed by bodybuilding, and I just took their word for it. So I had the idea that something that was good for building visible muscle, aesthetics or whatever, is also functional. I just always thought that was the same. And then I got, learn about things like kettlebells when that was first started getting popular 20 years ago.
Yeah, Pavel Tatsurin. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, and moved through that whole thing. I had a Stephen Cotter DVD set.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah, that DVD set. Nice. Yeah,
I bought that and the Maxwell at the same exact time from Spartan something.
Yeah. Well, they used to work together, and then they started their own things separately.
Yeah. So I bought those two sets at the same time, and I used to do the mobility, and then I had 235s, 245s, and 255s kettlebells, and I would do Cotter stuff.
Yeah. So I guess what we were talking about, the functional, versus the aesthetic side, and is it because there's those guys that are he's popular, and I think you've asked me about him before, Nadi Aguilar, that guy that does functional patterns.
Yeah.
Because what if it's because it's true. I mean, the bench press. I mean, most of these things that we're doing, you're not really ever doing it in this linear kind of way, right? If you're gonna really squat and do something in the woods, you're not gonna squat like chest up, chin up, heels flat, right? You're
It'd
not
be
gonna
a very specific situation.
yeah, it'd be more a realistic kind of thing. You'd probably have your knees cave in because maybe you twist a little to the side, or you're like, ever try picking up a rock, or like, what strongmen do, right? Those like big stones. Like it's so their backs are hunched over, right? Super anti deadlift, right? Like Mark Ripito would be fucking angry at that, or Louis Simmons would probably lose his shit, right? But yeah,
Right.
so it's like,
But yeah, the question is that are we designed
yeah,
to
so
do
that's the
things
whole thing.
wrong?
Right. So like you can talk about it. First of all, I don't think that doing all those functional things are gonna like fix your injuries and prevent them, and you're never gonna get hurt. Because there's lots of guys that've been doing this stuff before Nadia Aguilar, and they get hurt, just like anybody else. Now they're definitely a lot less injury prone than like a dude who just does squat, bench press, and deadlift every week, for years.
Right.
You know what I mean? But there's people that have been doing this stuff for a long time, and it's not the holy grail. It's not gonna.
I see everybody doing that thing where like you kind of step to one side and move an arm. Like say you have like a club bell or
sling training. Yeah, sling. They're training their slings. Yeah, there's this massage therapist who's really good massage therapist, Tom Myers. He wrote this book. I don't remember the name of the book, but Tom Myers is his name. Yeah, and it's all about this idea of tensegrity, of like training these kind of sling muscles across your shoulders. And and should you, again, like, yeah, for sure, like doing a fucking clean and jerk with this bar that we designed that, has a certain specific roundness to it or diameter to it. And why are the bars, why are the plates, why are they the size the way they are? Why couldn't they be smaller? But weigh the same. Like, we just set on a standard size. It's all kind of arbitrary. Like, it's true. And it's very, I guess, unnatural. But then, like, again, I don't know, man. Like, if you're living in the woods, you're probably going to do something really unnatural. You're going to have to climb a tree. And, like, you ever try climbing a palm tree? Like, you look like a fucking retard doing it. Like, it's really awkward.
But that's the question, right? It's like, is that, everybody's like, oh, open your, what's this stuff?
What do you think about?
Your thoracic, open your hips. Open, but in reality, like when I was listening to what's his name, Gordon Ryan on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how, his jiu-jitsu game is about negating motion, and he has really strong, like isometric strength.
Yeah, he's good.
In that crabbing,
holding on at one stop, and you won't pry open his fucking hands because he's good.
Right.
But then if you talk to him about like flexibility, he can't open his hips wider than fucking 4 inches, right?
Right.
So,
but he can do a lot of things though. Like he can do Grammy rolls, like totally on like invert, and I think he can actually probably do certain types of splits.
I thought he was very well known to be not a flexible guy. Not like
definitely in some directions.
Like if you look at like Bravo, right? If you look at Johnny Bravo.
Oh, Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo. Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo. Hoo ha.
Oh, it's funny. Eddie Bravo, right? He's not Eddie Bravo. He can't get his or a BJ Penn, like we brought him up earlier, right?
Yeah, but
he can't get his toe to his forehead.
I think if Eddie Bravo was like 225, it would be different.
Well, it's and I think if my grandmother had balls, she'd be my grandfather. You know what I'm saying? It's like those kind of like, I think if, but I get what you're saying. You're right, though. Of course, bigger guys tend to be less flexible. So yeah, then you get into that idea of like, is it healthy? And it's probably not healthy to be super well developed muscularly like a bodybuilder, right? Because you have all these areas where, I mean, a lot of these, I know these fucking bodybuilders, I mean, they need like 14 different pillows around them to sleep. You know what I mean? And they have, because they can't, their body is like so locked up because they have so much muscle. And they just, to take a shit, man, like they can't turn and wipe, literally, they have to like get up off their seat, then get the toilet paper, then turn back around, because they're so big and massive,
Right.
And I think where guys like naughty, they kind of go from that because they're like, oh, see, it's, it makes you bad and it locks you up and does all these bad things. And I think it does. But again, it's like this To me, it's just a
But is
balance.
being locked up not is being locked up good, but is there is it necessarily healthy, like long term for your tissue? Because if you think about it, after this pec surgery and thinking about stretching, because when you think about a ruptured tendon, something torn fully off the bone, and then you think about stretching, and if you get a little skeeved out, right, by the injury that you had, and imagining, this awful thing of a tendon being pulled off the bone, and then you think about what stretching is,
Hmm.
you're pulling on the muscle, but really mostly the tendon and its attachment to the bone, and you're kind of elongating that stuff, and the feeling that you have is pulling those tissues.
Yeah.
Is it
It,
necessarily good to be all loosey goosey everywhere? You
and
know
I
what I
was
mean?
and I was just gonna bring that up. I've worked with countless yogis who have the world's worst shoulders I've ever seen, because it's like spokes. That's what I'm saying. It's like spokes on a bicycle. Like the spokes, right? The little things. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're too tight, the wheel's gonna collapse. It's gonna break. And if they're too, or sorry, they're gonna snap. You know what I'm saying? Because if you ride over something kind of rigid and hard, boom, it'll snap. And if they're too loose, the fucking wheel just collapsing on itself. So there's this fine line. And yogis are those people that have taken that shit too far. And I've worked with many of them. They can get their whole arm behind their head, holding a
Right.
stick. But then you tell them to develop, to create some tension when they're doing like a lat pull down or some sort of weight training, and they can't. It hurts their shoulder because they stretched all that shit out so much that it's just too far gone. So then with them, it's like, and I do that with females are very common too. A lot of my girls like I no stretching. Stop fucking stretching. Stop it. You're good. You're flexible.
Right.
Like, what do you want to do? Like, stop it. So that happens a lot too, and you're right about that. But like I said, to be fair, those like functional type of guys, they're not even doing that. They're doing sort of things like maybe you've seen, like where they grab maybe a pulley and they do these kind of rotational exercises where
Yeah,
they're
twisting.
all that kind of stuff.
Which
And
is basically told not to do by traditional, but like never twist with a load.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, never twist and bend. That's like the worst. That'll snap your
Right.
shit up, right? Twisting, yeah. There's in physical therapy, there's two schools of thought. It's like the anti-rotation and rotation. Some guys only believe in anti-rotation, meaning, like if I'm holding onto a pulley, and if I just bring it out away from me, and I have some load over here on it, all I'm trying to do is just resist, just an isometric hold. That's good. But if I twist, that's bad. Now again, dude, you've done jiu-jitsu. You twist with people, don't you? All the fucking time, right?
Yeah.
And I've done judo, right? And when you do judo or sambo, I fucking throw a guy. I twist him over my head. You know what I mean? So to me, it's a functional quote unquote move. It's a thing that happens in real life, I think. You know what I mean? Punching somebody, you're fucking twisting. You're twisting. So I don't think, because like I said, there's those guys that are very anti. They only do anti-rotation stuff where they just do things like that, or maybe hold a dumbbell out and they're laying on their side and they're just holding it isometrically. They think that's what's good. Like those sort of can't think of his name right now, but he was like a spine guy. He just tells people to don't do sit-ups.
Pilates?
No. Joseph Pilates.
Okay.
No, it's like he's around now. He's an
okay.
older dude. He does a lot of those like back seminars, but yeah, this guy, he'll tell you like, don't do anything for your abs. Anything you do for your abs will fucking break your shit up. He's like super. Can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me in a minute. But yeah, but he'll only to have people do like planks or like side planks, because again, you're just holding. There's no twists on the spine. You know what I mean? Pete something coming to me, but anyway, so I don't think that's the case, because again, if I'm laying on the floor and I get off the floor, I'm doing a sit-up. Now, again, am I saying you should do 1,000 sit-ups every day? Probably not. Probably that's a bit too much. Probably there's a bit too many things going on with your spine. Maybe you're itching it too much or rotating it too much or whatever.
That's actually another thing that I've heard people riff on, is that doing crunches are bad for your spine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I have been doing for a while now, and this is also where that wrist pain was causing me a problem. And also, it was very interesting to see how much the pec sort of plays into stabilizing yourself when you're hanging and doing leg raises. from a hanging bar position, because to stop yourself from swinging back, to kind of control the movement,
You have to lower your legs slowly.
and you tense up everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling it in that injury.
Mm-hmm.
It would hurt because you can let yourself swing a little bit, but if you let yourself swing too much, it starts to negate the point of the exercise. But to kind of you're absorbing the shock of your movement so that you don't swing a lot, and it absorbs along the whole, the connection, which goes through your pec. And I didn't realize that until I had this injury. But that seems like a safe ab exercise.
It's also, Kyle, because what you're doing, it's a great exercise. And it's a great exercise, again, if you're tight and you have problems with shoulder mobility. Because what you're doing is when you're tucking, like just think about it now, like tucking your tailbone under your butt, so like crunch over, what happens with your shoulders when you do that? They go forward. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like when you're giving somebody a hug. That's called protraction, they call that. And when you go back, like when you're opening up your arms, that's called retraction. So now you're hanging on. So protraction is coupled. They call it coupling. There's certain things that your body just is good at. Well, it's just in habit of doing. So this kind of crunch always couples with protraction. Okay? And then like a back extension always couples with retraction. Same thing happens with your hands. When you're crunching forward, your palms want to turn inward. If you're just standing up and you roll your shoulders forward, do protraction, your palms will protract. And when you go back, they'll supinate. So all those things are kind of coupled together naturally in your body. It just happens naturally, just the way we're built. But when you're hanging on the bar, you have
Not
your
me,
hands...
man. I'm built different.
5%er, baby. When you're hanging on the bar, you have your hands overhead. That's getting into extension. So your body naturally is used to coupling back extension with that, right? Like when you're doing like a deadlift, that would be, back extension. But what you're telling your body to do is get the legs up. So you're uncoupling. So you're doing an extension move up here, but you're doing a flexion move down at the bottom, meaning you're bringing your legs up. And that's why people feel it in their shoulders a lot. And you need it too, like you said. So, but those sort of things are great to do. And that's why, by the way, like things like gymnastics or doing rings in gymnastics is super hard, because if you look at what they're doing a lot of that uncoupling. Like they're doing a Maltese, where they have their shoulders forward, but their back is straight. And they have their entire fucking body weight on 2 rings.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not only just the weight, it's also how much uncoupling, how much, it's like a...
Uncoupling proteins.
Uncoupling proteins, baby. So that's why that stuff is so, and like I said, and that's why you feel it in your abs a lot more, because you're stretching out your abdominal cavity, but you're also getting your legs up.
How do you feel about trying to touch the bar, where your hands are, with your toes?
That's the only way to do it, baby. You shoot for it. Most people can't at first, but then they get better at it.
Yeah, I could do that.
And even better, get in a Swedish wall. A Swedish wall, like a little ladder wall. Gymnasts use it also. You know what I mean? Swedish ladder kind of thing. Because then when you get your legs up, your butt doesn't have any room to go back. So it makes it a lot tougher to reach up there all the way. They have them at playgrounds sometimes. Like I have a playground near me that has it. Try that next time. It'll fuck you up, guaranteed. Because you'll be able to go up here, but then that last little bit is hard because your back is against the wall. Mm-hmm. And usually in a normal hanging, if you're like a regular bar, you have a lot of room to go back. So a lot of people even kind of just do kind of help with their lats, but they don't notice it. But in the real Swedish bar, it just up. Stall bars, they call them sometimes too. Stall bars, STAHL. So yeah.
All right. So back against the wall. All right. So just real quick, somebody said you like push-ups though. So yeah, push-ups versus obviously presses. I mean, the weight, it's about the load, right? And I guess the direction too. And push-ups just come across as a lot more natural to me than having your back braced by an immovable bench. And then somebody asked, can you combine lats and side delts in one exercise?
Side delts? No. Or does he mean like in one superset, like maybe doing a set of lats and then doing a set of side delts, which that works?
One exercise, so I guess something that uses lats.
No, because lateral head of the deltoid is like it's just abduction.
I think he means back. So your back your deltoids? Lats. Uh-huh. No, like your back muscle, like not your lateral deltoids, but your lats.
I gotcha. Latissimus
and
dorsi.
Your side deltoids.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is like lats is this movement, basically, or this movement, right? Mm-hmm. And delts is abduction. abduction, so away from the body. So like if you have a lateral raise, this is the classic side delt move, and it also works in all these other presses too. But no, that's not a move.
Okay. Danny asks for us to break down Ngannou versus Namajunas. I would say,
What's up, man?
I would give the nod to Ngannou, but I think if Namajunas can establish the jab early and weather the first couple rounds, she might be able to win a decision.
Is her head still shaved, or does she grow her hair for this match?
I don't think she's growing that hair back because it's been like 5 years.
Right, it's crazy. Isn't it crazy how different she looked? Like what a different person she was when she just joined. She had that long, beautiful blonde hair, and then she just
Very pretty
went
girl.
full Rose. Now my Eunice, I'm so grateful to God.
I mean, she's an interesting person because
She's unique for sure.
She was very pretty with the hair, and then she's with what's his name, that kickboxer.
Yeah, Pete. No, is it also Pete? Yeah, Pete something, right? Her boyfriend. He was an ex-UFC fighter.
Yeah. He had heavyweight, and he was famously, he had that fight with Crow Cop, and then they became friends.
Yes.
And he's a funny guy.
Yes.
And then she's got this whole thug thing. And
Pat Barry.
Yeah, Pat Barry.
Pat Barry. I was close.
And but so she kind of seems like she's making some weird life decisions to like uglify herself and be a fighter when she was kind of a pretty girl. But then, I mean, at the end of the day, she actually seems to have one of the best mindsets of any female fighter. Like she's not, I don't know. It seems like she was just goal oriented, and
except that last fight, right? When the Brazilian chick dropped her on her fucking head. And she kind of didn't look like herself in that fight, though, right?
No, she did. Well, she is a slow starter. She kind of reminds me of the Diaz brothers a little bit. Like the kind of boxing centered, like really 1-2, just like jab and cross style boxing with
well, she's there to engage.
She's long.
Yeah.
And then she's got good jiu-jitsu, but not good grappling. So it's pretty much like, and she's got good endurance, and she's kind of thuggish. She says like she's like a Diaz sister.
It's true. That's funny. Broke that down, Danny.
Yeah, Ngannou. The only thing I'm interested with him is what is it? Gagne, the guy that just
the French guy.
Yeah,
Cereal. His name is Cereal. Cereal's gone or something like that. There was a meme about it. Something cereal or something like that.
It's Cyril. It's like the guy in Archer, Cyril Figgis.
I think Cereal would fuck him up, dude. I think Cereal.
Well, it's going to be really interesting because he is clearly the most legitimate. So Ngannou, he's been working on his wrestling and stuff, but obviously he's there to get the knockout. But yeah, this guy seems like a legitimate.
He's a legit fighter. Oh, dude, he had everything. He had everything going for him. He looked good.
So that's a really. Other than that, though, I don't really. Ngannou is just. It seems like he's really spoiled. Like he. Yeah,
he kind of became a dick now, right? Now that he won he got up.
Even before he demanded the rematch when he had that stinker again.
Cleveland. What's his fucking name?
Yeah, he had that. That fight sucked, and the way he lost against Miocic the first time was really pathetic. He just got controlled. Mm-hmm. Actually, it wasn't pathetic. I mean, it was good that he didn't give up and stuff because, like, he was probably
but that's how you fight
tired.
Yeah, but that's how you fight that guy, though. I mean, what else are you gonna do?
But it was a bad fight, right? So, so I thought he's acting kind of spoiled, but I guess he probably knows that he brings a lot of eyeballs to the pay-per-views with his knockouts.
But let's be honest, there's nobody really there in the heavyweight anymore. It's not like it used to be. Remember, it used to be like heavyweight, that's the shit that everybody's watching. And then now everybody's watching like 145, 155, and welterweight probably, right? That's about it. I mean, as far as like, the most popular drawn fights,
Yeah, I think light heavyweight just recently lost a lot of interest because like Jones he sort of disappeared a little bit. And there's that Polish guy that's like everybody likes, but he doesn't have like household name recognition yet. And then heavyweight,
Skowski or whatever, or something like that. Bush.
Heavyweight lost its prestige, I think.
It's been in the shithole for a while. So yeah, it's just not enough big boys. I get it. but it's scary. All right, so what else we got?
Let me see. So we talked about the whole form thing. All right, so we've pretty much covered all this. So okay, so let's just say I'm going to the gym, right? And I'm going to do okay. So you recommend actually doing opposing, instead of me doing a bunch of stuff that is
Push and pull.
right. You're saying do push and pull the same day.
Yes.
Like things that actually counteract each other.
The same muscle groups. Yep.
Yeah, things that would be, eccentric.
Yeah.
While
Because like I
something is
said,
contracting.
even if
or
you said you
relaxing.
like all those weird exercises and unique stuff, you're still gonna have stuff that you prefer. You're still gonna prefer triceps or biceps or vice versa or whatever. And my point is, again, just do them in the same day. That way, even if you prefer them, you still have the energy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still like, as you get deeper into your workout, obviously you're more and more tired.
Do you do a whole day of arms? Do you do an arm day?
Yeah, but I'll do some other stuff with it too. Like I'll do some overhead handstand push-ups, or I'll do some.
So
I'll
you do
some
shoulders
chin-ups.
with.
Sometimes I'll do. Yeah, I alternate, but I always try to balance them out. Sometimes I do my shoulders with pecs and back. Sometimes I do them with arms.
Okay.
Sometimes I do a little bit on each. And also, it's also like day by day. Like, I feel like, my shoulders are starting to look like little slouchy bitches. So okay, I'll fucking crush them today.
I haven't done an arm day, a dedicated arm day, since high school because, like I said, my arms are always.
Yeah, so
faster.
with you, then I would recommend don't do an arm day. For your arm day, do have a back and chest day. Focus on those. Focus on the shit that you're not good at. Then for your arm day, do overhead presses where your triceps are working a lot more. Get good at those, and it's a very good, functional, healthy move. Try some behind the neck presses. And then you can even do some chin-ups, palms facing you, so you're kind of hitting your biceps. But it's still kind of back work.
What do you think about pull-ups for back? This grip or?
Yeah, usually they'll call those pull-ups, and then palms facing you, chin-ups. Usually,
Right.
but some people. But
and
that's
what about palms facing each other?
Parallel. Yeah, it's all a little bit. That's the easiest grip, parallel grip. A really awesome. If you want to really crush your back. I was gonna make a video about this. I think I might have an old one on there. Anyway, a really awesome one is to do all three. So palms forward. Wide grip, that'll be the hardest because if you think about it, your elbow is traveling the biggest arc right here, right? So it's really far away from you, and for it to get close, it's a big arc, and also don't forget your whole head's got to be above the bar. Most people can't do it. Most people can't do wide grip, palms forward, and for their chest to touch the bar. Try it next time when you're at the gym. Try to get your chest to touch the bar. So you do as many as you can there. You do like a cluster set, meaning you have a little bit short break between each set. Then you shake it off. And then you go to the next easiest grip, which could be a chin-up grip or it could be a narrow grip, palms forward. But in this case, we'll just say those three different grips. Then you go to a chin-up grip, which is the second most difficult kind of variation. And you do as many as you can there, chest to bar. Jump off, shake it off, 10, 15 seconds. And then you do a parallel grip, which is the easiest, anatomically speaking, grip. And then you do as many as you can there. Try 3 rounds like that. Your back will be cooking.
Oh, another thing is those exercises like for rotator cuff and stuff, like say, where you're just lifting
External
up like
rotation.
this. Would you recommend them for rehab or just general maintenance? And where would you fit those in?
Yeah, big time. With most people suck at them. So I have people do some sort of variation of that every workout. One exercise.
Because it doesn't really tire you out.
Depends what you mean. Like, yeah. You're not gonna get a workout out of it. You could make it, or okay. For example, one way was to do.
I just mean you can throw them in anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do them right before you're trying to go heavy on something though, because they will fuck up your shoulder cuff because you're working your shoulder cuff, right? I mean, it'll make it tired. So then when you're bench pressing, you'll notice, oh my God, the weight feels so much heavier because when you're stabilizing something, they're working a lot. So yeah, I would do it every workout or put it into a shoulder circuit, which I love doing. For example, a shoulder circuit could be press behind neck, 6 reps. Work up to these weights, by the way. Start with 15, go to 10, work up to a weight that's good for 6 to 8.
And you like a straight bar or dumbbells on that?
Like I said, press behind neck, so that'd be a barbell. But
Okay.
dumbbells would be awesome. But I'm gonna put them all actually in the circuit. So I'll
Like,
go.
could you do behind the neck with dumbbells? I mean, that might look a little goofy, but
Yeah, it'll look goofy. There's no point to it because there's nothing you don't really know. So I would just have both of them in there. So like I said, do press behind neck for 6, overhead press for 6, chin up or some sort of chin up or pull up because you're still working your subscapularis, all the shoulder cuff muscles a lot.
for overhead press, did you just show palms facing each other?
Just like I told you, just like on the bench press, I always do them that way.
Really?
So remember what I was just
I
explaining.
do the Arnold press where you bring them together.
Works too, but it'll
then-
tighten you up a little bit. But if you're flexible, I'm which I am too, I can do it that way too. But most people that can't get their heads over their head that are computer engineers, I just have them always have the palms face each other, because again, let's talk about that really quick just to mention it. Like I said, get your arms out. If you turn your palms down, you'll notice your shoulders are rotating inwards. You see what I'm saying? And if you supinate, shoulders are rotating outwards.
Right.
Supination, we got retraction back. Protraction, we got protraction with the palms, protraction of the shoulders. And what we were just talking about, like with postures. Most people are in what fucking position? They're rounded over or they're super extended. No, they're rounded over. So that means that their hands, and I can tell this a lot. I'll be standing in a bar and I'll look at a guy's hands. If I'm seeing a guy standing and his palms are super turned out, like they're hanging by his arms, by his sides, but they're looking behind him, that guy has tight shoulders. And if his his palms are just like 45 degrees or even parallel, which rarely you see, flexible shoulders. See what I'm saying? So when you're doing overhead press, if you're rotating your palms even more inwards, you're just developing yourself into more of that posture. And again, if you don't have those problems, it might be just fine. That's why, at the top you do the Arnold press, you're rotating up, forward. So you're doing this at the top, which for some people like you and I may be okay. But for most people, I prefer just keep them parallel because that's going to not rotate them forward. It's not going to push them back either because they're just parallel. So it develops the posture, keeps the posture nicer. It keeps it from people overdeveloping their front stuff. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I do overhead press. So I would do like press behind neck. How about we go push, pull, push, pull. Press behind neck, 6 reps. Pull, some sort of pull up or chin up for 6 reps. Overhead press with dumbbells, 6 reps. And then an external rotation move for 6 reps. There I'll go a little bit higher because I would rather have people use lighter weights and higher reps because, again, like we talked about mind to muscle connection, most people don't know what the fuck they're doing when they're doing these. You should feel it. You should be feeling the burn in your back, not even your shoulder. I mean, you'll feel it in your shoulder, but ideally,
Really?
well, yeah, because insertion origin, Kyle. But
Right.
yes, it's attached to the shoulder here, but it's pulling down to your scapula. So so you got to think about it like a rubber band. It's like, it's like a rubber band rotating your arm outwards. And there's a whole thing. We got to talk about those too. Like the ones that you were just showing, like this, some people call it Cuban press, classically. Americans, by the way, love like Turkish get up, Cuban press, Bulgarian split squats. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's so funny, but whatever.
That's not what they call them in Cuba.
Yeah, no, bro. But so that one is kind of, to me, if a person has never done any of that stuff, I wouldn't have them do that one. I'd have them do that classic one that you see people doing with cable. I thought my headphones turned off. With the cable, where you have your elbow by your side. You're not gonna move the elbow, by the way. A lot of people do that. I see them doing. They're trying to go as far as they can. Don't move your elbow. Even better, put a towel between your body and the elbows. That way you're squeezing that elbow in. And then you're keeping your arm bent at 90 degrees, and you're just rotating out. And just work on that. And you'll do 15 to 20. 15 to 20.
What do you think about doing
and if
that
you do 3 sets,
laying on a bench on your side with a dumbbell?
with a dumbbell? Yeah,
That's good.
Works.
Okay.
Just a different position. I like that too. If you don't have access to a cable stack, the cable stack will be a little bit better to start out because, again, you have that constant tension motion, and you can kind of get a little bit more range of motion versus when you're laying on your side, because people tend to like slouch one way or the other. But that works too. And then once you feel comfortable with those, you've done those for a few weeks, then I would get your elbows up to 90 degrees. And again, start super light, literally 1 pound, literally half a pound. And then you get your elbows up at 90. Then you start working these 90 degrees. Boom. Another variation would be to sit on that bench. So if we're talking about like that shoulder circuit I was telling you, so I would do those 3 exercises, and then I would do each arm 15 reps on the bench. Put my knee up like that. You can see my knee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knee up. I'm just sitting on the bench, elbow on my knee. Now I have some support. See what I'm saying? And then rotate out this way. And then you do that fucking, if you're doing 6 reps, you've got to do at least like 4 sets.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 to 6 sets, shoulders will be on fire the next day. You'll be feeling it. And it's super, super healthy because you're hitting all your muscles. You're getting your retractors working.
Now, would you do that instead of a traditional front raise or in addition to?
Front raise? You mean like a shoulder, like a dumbbell front raise? Oh, don't do those ever. They're just useless to you.
Really?
Unless if you're more plates, more dates. Well, why? Well, think about it.
I am more plates, more dates, actually. That's my alternate.
Well, think about it. We were talking about bench press. We were talking about dips. We were talking about flies. All those exercises, what do they have in common that's working? What muscle?
Right.
Your front deltoid. Yeah. And again, why do you need it to be bigger? Unless if you're a bodybuilder, you're trying to develop the specific area even more.
Well, okay. I mean, aesthetically, I do like shoulders.
I never work. I'm like, well, yeah, but what makes your shoulder look good is this cap.
Yeah.
It's the side.
Okay, so you would also do side raises?
You can do some lateral raises. Yeah, lateral. Yeah. So I would do those. The circuit I gave you was more kind of functional, just shoulder health one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then if you want to talk aesthetics-wise, throw in some lateral raises there. Or better, I would do that circuit a couple of rounds. And then at the end of all that, because now your shoulders are cooked, then burn them out with high rep. And by the way, high rep lateral raises. Even all the big bodybuilders that know what the fuck they're doing, they all do high reps.
I usually do a sort of superset at the end of shoulders, like after, overhead presses and stuff like that. I'll do front raises and then lateral raises.
Just completely stop doing front raises forever. Do lateral raises. Trust me, I'm telling you, what'll make your shoulders pop out is laterals, or great exercise I got from John Meadows, rest in peace, just passed away a few weeks ago.
Okay, F's in the chat.
Heavy swings. So, with like a lateral raise, what do you usually use? Like 15 to 20 pounds? I mean, if you're doing 15 to 20 reps,
usually
right? Maybe
15.
25. Past that, you're doing this fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about good strict form. Yeah. Grab like 30s, 35s, and just overload that bottom half. And you're literally kind of swinging them. You're literally just, about there, and then boom. So it's about 30 to 45 degrees out, swinging back in. And again, high reps. Those are my favorite, dude. Those will murder your side delts and get that little cap that we're all looking for. It's not the front delta that makes you look good. If you look at like old school guys even,
right,
like Vince Gironda, they have these nice little caps.
But the front delt helps give so my chest has always been my worst body part. So having good shoulders and front delts kind of gives an illusion.
So by the way, you said that, and then good idea. Work your shoulders more, Kyle. Like stop doing front delts. Work your pec. I think you should try dumbbell presses on a slight incline, literally 1 notch up, not 45, slight incline, so that when you're laying down, your hands are about like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like on a bench press is like this. It's about like that. Slight incline, palms facing each other. Do a big fucking stretch. Don't even worry about the weight. Whatever. And then just touch them at the top, all 4 sides. Boom.
Do you squeeze at the top like a sort of fly, or just touch?
Sure. But it's like, you can squeeze them for a second. I just touch them. Because
I find that the squeezing helps you kind of identify the muscle, because that's when you can really, when you're squeezing something together, that's when you can really identify the feeling.
If you have a training partner, when I do it with my clients, I literally tap their muscle with my fingers. I just go, boom, this one, motherfucker, this one. Not your shoulders. No, not your shoulders. This one. I literally do that. I do it with back, most often with back, because like I told you, nobody can feel their back. Mm-hmm. Superset that with some sort of fly. Crossovers with cables, light cables. Superset those back to back.
Okay.
Sure, that'll work. Just, again, get it so that you feel your titties. You not your shoulders. Feel your titties, okay? Crossover, superset that. And then you can go and take some small dumbbells that are not too high up. Well, not like unstable, stable, like some thick dumbbells. Flip them vertically, put them on the floor, outside shoulder width, not shoulder width, outside, and do some push-ups. Get a big stretch on your peckies. Finish that off as your last exercise. And in between all those exercises, do some back. And that's it. You're good to go, baby. You'll feel it. Check back in when you do it.
All right. One last thing. What kind of lunges? So I had recently added in the day that I do deadlifts and like posterior chain type movements, I had added a walking lunge thing where I get like a pretty light load, like maybe just a 40 pounds, you know, those pre-attached barbells, like for like preacher curls stuff people use.
Yeah. Or like they're easy curls or whatever.
Yeah. You get that on your back and just do walk up and down one of those areas in the gym where you can do this, trying to get like at least a little bit knees over toes at the bottom and do that, you know, the length of the room a few times. Is that a good lunge? Do you recommend a different type of lunge?
Yep. It's a good lunge. Nothing wrong. It's good. I just always try to get people to work towards that, like what that knees over toes guy does, right? That split squat, which Charles again popularized, and knees over toes guy took a lot of the stuff from there. Where why it's called split squat, because you're not, I mean, technically like a lunge, like you're moving, right? Or you're stepping forward, stepping back, stepping forward, stepping back. They're great. They're awesome. Heavy dumbbells. Try supersetting squats and lunges back to back. Don't go crazy heavy. Your ass will be on fire. Your everything will feel it. Just as far as like we're talking, you know, health, longevity, all that kind of stuff, functional stuff. Being able to get your leg behind you, right, in that lunge position, and then just staying there. You're not walking. You're not lunging forward and back. And then sinking down low, getting your knee over your toe, the front knee, and then standing back up to.
So your leg behind you on the floor?
Yes. I'm gonna show you something cool. Give me a second. Talk to your people. Check our comments. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Please interview now. Oh, I don't think I could get that guy. I don't even have 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Functional patterns. Figured out a way to combine lats and side delts. Water resistance. Resistance moving both ways. Sounds complicated, but I guess technically possible. All right, what do you got? How we doing? We're good.
So I collect like old school magazines, like from the 50s and 60s and shit.
Oh,
and I had one here. Yeah. This is what is this? Strength and Health from 1954 with Zabo Kosinski on it. It's my favorite bodybuilder. Yeah. So I have a picture of that, you know, of that thing that we're talking about.
What do you think? While you're looking for it, what do you think about the lunges or the split squats with the foot on a bench behind you?
So that'll make it harder. So here's the general thing. It's if you have your front foot and you elevate it, because it's like you're doing a step up almost, right? It'll make it a lot easier, and that's what I do with beginners, for them to sink down and go because I want you to go all the way down, just like in a squat. I want your hamstring to touch your calf. Does that make sense? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, a split squat is just why it's a split squat. It's just a one-legged squat with your leg behind you.
Yeah.
That's how you should think of even lunges too. So if you put your front foot up, because most people can't sink that low, their heel will come up because they have tight ankles.
Yeah.
Or their hip flexors won't let them sink down that low. So I guess it's not this one. So sorry, I have another one right here though. I thought I had it. So sometimes I have people, I don't know, maybe like a foot, like a really tall box, because that's the only way they can get their hamstring to touch the toe. So I'll have them start that way. Then obviously over time lower. Then I have them do it with weights, just holding on to dumbbells in that split squat position, standing there. And then once they are really good, then you can put your back foot up on something. But you don't need much, because what you're doing is you're really pulling on that hip flexor, right, of the opposite leg. So you're not really like, you know, what's doing the squatting up and down. There it is.
I tried it before with my foot on the bench.
Oh my God, but I thought over the toe guy invented it. So this is Strength and Health from May 1958.
Wow.
For 35 cents. Yeah. Okay.
That guy looks good for 1958.
Looks pretty.
Did they even
good,
have
right?
tests then?
Well, yeah, 30s, but you know, but most of these guys are probably they would have looked like that no matter what. You know what I mean? They would have maybe looked a little bit better if they hadn't done, or a little bit worse if they hadn't done that. But I mean, you know, look, here's the same guy. I mean, he's You
Because
could
they're all
tell he
like
maybe
maybe
took
like
it.
180 shredded, right? They're not like mass
Yeah.
monsters or
Yeah.
anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Of course. Well, you know, and plus D-ball was real D-ball. It was what 1930. What is the name of the fucking company? I forgot, but it was like 1938 or something. And they already
Oh.
had D-ball.
Ah.
Oh yeah, dude. It goes way back, baby. So yeah. So anyway, so I love that. You know, that position. It's a great position because that's what I'm saying. So if you put this back foot up on top of a box, see how much harder this hip flexor has to be
Right.
stretched out. It has to be.
So there
So
you have obviously foot on
mhm.
the floor, back knee touching the floor.
No, that's why you have to have flexible hip flexors. That's why it's an awesome move because you're getting strength and mobility, that's what mobility is, by the way. I think of it that way. I think of it as flexibility and strength.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about yogis being too flexible and
Right.
hurting themselves. They're really
I think that's
flexible.
what Steve
But if
Maxwell says too, is the
sure,
strength. Yeah.
probably. Yeah, well, like I said, he's a smart guy. It's like, if I put my leg up straight out in front of me, is my hamstring is flexible enough to get up, but my quads and hip flexors are strong enough to hold them up in that position.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? So that's what's happening here. You're developing both of those things, and what you're trying to do with this back leg is you're trying to straighten it. So you don't want it to touch the floor. If it nips it, it's okay. But it's like you're not
Okay.
trying to like lunge into
So you're not
it.
supporting
Yeah.
your weight with that knee at all.
No. It's just that front leg that's working. But again, you'll feel it a lot through the hip flexors here initially when you're starting out and you're trying to loosen them up. And if you really look at it, look knee to knee. Imagine there's no calf.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? It looks like a front splits. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Knee to knee. If this leg was straight up,
Right.
it would be a front splits. So that's why if you're able to do that, you can basically do a front splits. And that's why it's a great exercise because you're developing flexibility and the strength to get in that position.
Right. One thing I tried to do the split squat with the foot behind on a bench, and one thing that I never felt comfortable knowing exactly how far to have my front foot stepped out from the bench. You know, that because nobody ever showed me. I just I tried to get my knee over my toe a little bit, but I didn't feel super comfortable.
Yeah, just squat down, and then just if you can take your leg out while you're in that squat and put it behind you to get in this position, that's how you find out. And if you can't do it, then you don't need to put your back foot up on anything. Mm-hmm. Like I said, just get really good on the floor, trust me, and get some dumbbells. And then if you're using like, I don't know, 25s to 35s, I mean, that's some serious weight. You're ready to try it with a barbell because a barbell, the center of gravity is going to be more centered. Mm-hmm. But you'll feel it a lot more. And then use a barbell, like you were saying, those little preloaded dumbbells or barbells. Put that on your back and try the same position, and then you'll really fucking feel it. So, yeah, it's putting your back foot up. I would say is more like if you're really trying to develop the mobility with somebody. It's like, okay, we really need to open up that hip flexor, and that's what I do. Some people do that stretch where they're just kind of sitting in a lunge and then they grab their back leg and pull it up. Yeah. You're doing that with this one exercise. See what I'm saying? So that's why, like, if you're short in time, instead of doing yoga and all that, just do. So that's what I try to do with a lot of exercise. Yeah. So pull-ups, split squats, like you said, doing anything overhead covers a lot of bases.
All right. Well, I think that was a pretty good 2 hours. Got a solid approximately 2 hours here. Oh, yeah. Did you have any?
I don't know. Did we go through all of our questions?
Basically, we jumped around a little bit because something would hit somewhere and then somewhere else. But I think we did basically all the notes that I had. Cover.
Anybody ask any questions while we're on there? I walked away.
No, just the one. Just the guy with the lats and side delts said water resistance moving both ways. Sounds like a really like contrived like a Rube Goldberg machine for getting using two muscles at the same time.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to tell you because you asked me. We were talking about shoulder stuff and I forgot to bring it up. Just to whatever as a little tip, like a shotgun approach to shoulder rehab. They did this evaluation of all shoulder injuries in sports and stuff, and they found it's always two muscles of the shoulder cuff, that are weak: supraspinatus and serratus anterior. So if you have like, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you don't know what it, just find some exercises that work your supraspinatus and serratus anterior. Those external rotations, it'll work your supraspinatus, or even just a lateral raise if that hurts. Most people are okay though doing the 90 degrees. And like I said, dumbbell or cable, even band, even if it's like a light enough band. Just the bands, again, they get harder as you get out there. So that'll be for supraspinatus. And then serratus anterior, which is a good point to make, why you should always try to get that full extension on your push-ups and on your bench presses. You don't want to, you know how bench press powerlifters always talk about shoulders back, arch your back. You know what I mean? Lats back. It's because they're trying to shorten that range of motion. You know, that's why they do that crazy arches. You know, those like Russian girls that are like super flexible and do like a huge back bend, and then they bench press, and the bench press is like done. It's like boop. They're shortening the range of motion, and it still counts because the back is on the bar. But you know, you're not trying to be powerlifter. You're just trying to develop the muscle. You're trying to look good. Trying to keep it strong. I always, like I said, go back all the way. Yes, let your shoulder blades go back, but then at the top, fully press forward. So protract your shoulder blades. So like if you're seeing somebody do push-ups, if you're seeing somebody like somebody that doesn't have their shirt on, I'm sure you hang out at places like that, Kyle. I'm just kidding. Yeah, go to one of those places. Yeah. But if you see a guy doing push-ups and you see his bones poking out of his back, you ever see that? You know what I mean? Like you see his scapula kind of sticking out doing push-ups. That's they call it like a winged scapula, but whatever. Point is, his serratus anterior is way too weak, and when he's doing push-ups, that shoulder blades are still back, and you don't want to do that. You want to develop them fully. So when you're pressing all the way through, I actually want people to round over like a angry cat, right? Yeah, it's angry cat. So I want that thoracic spine to be round over, angry cat, and then go down to a push-up and do it again. And people just do, and if they have really weak anterior serratus, you can just do that part of the movement. So you get into a push-up position, elbows are fully locked, sink down. It's very hard for most people that have never done it before. So let your shoulder blades go back. See what I'm doing? Like I'm not bending my elbow at all. I'm just keeping it locked. I'm sinking down. I let my shoulder blades pinch, and then I push through. And I recommend that for you too, for your pec injury and all that stuff. And just doing sets of those for 15. And then if you get good, you could always put a band around you, put your hands through the band, and then that'll give you a little bit more resistance.
Okay. Is there a name for that?
So when you punch throughs or something like that. If you type in serratus anterior exercise, it's going to be there for sure. It'll be one of the top ones, and that's probably the best one to do. So, but like I was saying, like a shotgun approach to like shoulder injuries is like working your supraspinatus and serratus anterior, which are the
when I had the MRI for the pec tear, they found an incidental finding of what's a rotator cuff tear, but it was apparently most men who did athletics, according to studies, have minor tears. So they said it was one of those where it's like extremely normal, and there's really, it is what it is.
No, listen.
So
yeah, I wouldn't fuck with it.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm not going to go under the knife for something that incidental.
That's good enough. Yeah. Hopefully ever again. No, you're good.
Yeah. Well, that's actually so my hierarchy is like, health maintenance, body function, health maintenance, and then like sort of strength and stuff. And honestly, like the aesthetics thing for me, I guess my insertions are pretty good. So I tend to get not a bodybuilder look, like I'm huge or anything, but
yeah, but you have a small waist, you have big arms, you have wide shoulders. You do have a good.
So I'm not. I feel like if I'm just doing stuff that's for health, that'll be covered anyway. I don't need to look, So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. So you don't want to do too much touch butt in the park, no?
Yeah, I don't want to go to those places like where Fauci goes, where men have their shirts off.
What are you talking about? Oh man. Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
I think we made sense, right?
Yeah.
We made sense with like what to do, I guess.
Good stream. It was Labor Day, so I wouldn't imagine that many people would be watching anyway. But for all of you that watched the whole time, that's incredible because it's been a little over 2 hours. And for people that watched for a little bit of that time, also thank you, and future watchers. And yeah, I will be implementing these methodologies, and I guess we'll probably do stream in the future about stuff like this.
We got to check back in. We got to check back in. You got to try some of that stuff, and then tell me what you think. And in the meantime, we'll chat about it, and then we can talk about it live. It'd be good. It'd be good. So, just quick, are you starting to prep? Are you starting to work with weights again for your pec? You feel like you're just doing light weights, right?
Yeah, I am working with weights. I was doing.
Okay. So you're good.
Yeah.
Started it back up. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah.
Take care.
Have a nice Labor Day. Stream out.
All right.